Let's see what we got here. Good morning, Kate. How are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
Doing great, man. Doing great.
How do you explain all of the additional species of animals that we have now that were on Noah's Ark? If evolution doesn't happen or is fake?
Sure. I believe in microevolution. So
yeah, then you just believe in evolution. This macro-micro thing isn't a real distinction.
Sure, it is. I know most evolutionists. Yeah, it is. Most evolutionists don't want to accept that because that's all we test and observe. So they want to keep that, but it is a real thing, right? Like rabbits is always rabbits.
You pretending that you can't say evolution is false and then say, yeah, but this evolution is real. That means evolution is real.
Well, then we'll have to name it something else because I'm not going to give up the definition just because you don't like it.
Microevolution is macroevolution.
No, it's not.
You will not find a definition of evolution that only limits it to macro.
Yeah, I have. I can do it right now if you'd like. Sure. So if macroevolution is true, then I would have
to show me that definition.
Sure. If macroevolution was true, then I would have to see genetic information.
I thought you were going to give a definition.
I'm trying to, and you're interrupting.
I thought you were going to give a definition.
Can you hear me?
That's not how a definition goes. Definitions are questions.
Cage, are you okay?
Why do evolution is opportunity throughout consciousnly?
Are you okay?
Yes, I'm just waiting for your definition of
okay, well, I'm gonna give you what my definition of macroevolution is. If you don't interrupt, you'll be able to hear it. Okay. So for macroevolution to be true, I'd have to see genetic information gained.
Just your definition of evolution.
All right, brother. Have a good one. I'm literally just
definitions.
Yeah, have a good one, man. I'm trying to give it to you, and you can't not be rude long enough to hear it. So then I understand that you're not going to be able to comprehend it if you can't hear it. And you can't hear it because, no disrespect, you won't shut up long enough to let me get it out. This is the problem. Whenever you attack evolution, man, these guys come in here, they're upset. They're clearly upset that you don't believe like they believe. And that's one thing I'll never understand. Like I can understand we disagree, but why are you like upset? That's one I don't understand that. Like why are you so emotional about it? Golden, what's up, man? I can't see your whole name.
What's up, brother? Evolution is just unscientific.
Yeah. So I was going to give my definition so that he could understand what it was with macroevolution. It's genetic information gain. It would have to be genetic because you got to be able to pass it on to your children. It has to be information as far as new structures, new code, new function, new DNA. And it has to be gained from something that wasn't there before. That would be genetic information gain. And most evolutionists that I talk to so far, every one of them would agree that if we went from a single-celled organism to a fully functional human, there was genetic information gained there. But then all they want to be able to show you after that is either the same, genetics within the same kinds of animals, or they want to be able to show you degradation and then claim that that's evolution. Unfortunately, with him, I couldn't even get into it with him because he wouldn't listen for a second. That's crazy. So, what's your thought process, Golden? You're muted up, brother. You got to hit the little mic button over there. All right. Jay, what's up, man? You doing all right?
Yeah, how are you?
Man, I'm doing good, brother. I'm doing good. What you got?
Yeah, so you're saying evolution is false, but like the Big Bang Theory, like most scientists believe it's real.
Okay, so like
And
cosmic
that's
evolution.
scientists. Like they went to school for that, and they think it's real.
Well, I think that even if that's true, that would be an argument from majority or an
Say
authority.
again?
I said, even if that was true, what you're doing is an argument from a majority or an authority.
No, but
It wouldn't make it true just because they believe it, right? So are you going with
I'm not saying that. I'm saying they went to school for that, and they're doctors that believe that.
That's exactly what that argument is, brother. It's an argument from either you're using the majority argument or you're using the authority argument, meaning that, you know, these individuals are really smart and went to school, so therefore I should believe it. But I require evidence, and saying that nothing exploded and created everything is just mathematically impossible, one. And two, I don't think it's very scientific.
Well, I believe in the doctors more than just an average person. And like it's not like it just happened 20 years ago. Like people have believed the Big Bang Theory for, honestly, I don't even know how long, but a very long time.
So let me give you an example of something that they'll tell you that's true, that's still just, it's, if you just think about it, is physically impossible. So the Big Bang, this is their theory, not my theory, created in the early universe, created two gases, right? Hydrogen and helium. Okay. So you have these two gas molecules in the early universe, hydrogen and helium. And hydrogen and helium got together through static electricity. I would grant that. And then they created these huge gas clouds. And the gas clouds got so heavy on each other, you know, that they collapsed in their own weight and created nuclear fission. And that is the first stars. The only problem with that is you got Boyle's gas law, right? We know that hot gas expands several times its own gravitational weight, meaning that if you had a pound of gas and you put it in a container that's able to stand 5 pounds of pressure, and then you put that in a fire or something and heat it up, those gas molecules are going to expand several times its own gravitational weight. That gas container that's able to stand 5 pounds of pressure is not going to be able to contain that gas, because that gas is going to expand more than it weighs. You with me so far?
Yeah, but I'm not talking about container. I'm talking about the universe.
I know. I just want to make
universe can
Jay. I just want to make sure you. Jay, I just want to
100%.
make sure that you're with me so far. Then I promise you I'll move on. Like if you put a hairspray can in a fire and it explodes, that's the reason why, right?
Okay.
All right. So you have these two gas molecules, hydrogen and helium, and we know that mass creates gravity. So there's no other gravitational force other than the own mass of the gas molecules. And we know that they expand several times their own gravitational weight. So what got the first star? How did you get the first star? You can't tell me that it collapsed in on itself through its own weight, because once it started to heat up, it would expand out. And then it would get cool. You'd have a problem. And it would never get heavy enough to crush in on itself so much that nuclear fission happened, because the hotter it got, the more rapidly it would expand and the more violently it would expand. So it's literally and mathematically impossible to create a star using no outside mass other than just the gas molecules. But these really smart people that went to school told you that it happened, and you're just like, okay.
Well, yes, but no. Like you're saying, people that taught me that in school. Like, what did they teach you in school?
To critically think
with how the universe came to be.
They taught,
because we all experience different things.
Well,
like,
yeah, honestly,
I tell you something, I'm gonna learn something else.
Honestly, I didn't learn about evolution in school when I went there, but I think they did teach me how to critically think. And I don't believe people just because they're quote unquote really smart.
By the way, it's pretty hard to hear you. Just by the way.
Alan, you having any problems? Is it just him on his end, or are you having problems also? Let me try to move this maybe a little closer and see what's going on. Is it background noise or just my voice low, or? Jay, is it background noise or just my voice is
Yeah,
low?
you're
Or
cutting off and on.
must be the connection.
It's better now.
I'll switch over to Wi-Fi and see if
Yeah,
that,
go ahead, bro.
I'll switch over to Wi-Fi and
I
see if
hear
that
you.
helps out. All right.
Mhm.
All right. So, like I said,
I hear you right now. I hear you.
okay, good. I switched over to Wi-Fi. Maybe that'll help. Like I said, in school, they taught me how to critically think, not just believe something that because somebody smarter than me tells me it.
You didn't go to any religious school or
Yeah, I've been to religious schools
religious
too.
school?
Yeah, early on, I went to religious schools.
I did as well, but I don't believe in a higher power.
I didn't believe that
Well,
just
I
because
think
I
it's
went.
possible, but
Right.
yeah, I
So,
think it's possible, but it seems unlikely to me. And I don't want to seem like a bad person. I just think it's unlikely.
what makes you think that evolution is more sure than religion?
Are you serious? Is that a question? Evolution's proved.
How's it proved?
Explain having a tailbone. Explain whales having fingertips. Explain
Whales having
Um,
fingertips? I think you mean.
yes.
I think you mean.
Search
Lost.
up a whale ha-
See,
search
you
up a
see,
whale
y'all
skeleton,
see
bro.
what I'm talking about? They come in here, they're so mad. I don't believe like them, so they got to get angry and they get really emotional. And I think you mean,
You're not using my anger for your fucking winning take.
All right.
Explain to me then.
all right, brother, listen to me.
Just talk to him, bro.
Yeah,
just talk to him.
I think you mean the whale's pelvis bone having legs. I've never heard whale's fingertips. I think you have that confused. I think you're meaning whale's legs. Is that what you mean?
Just go and Google it.
I know about it. That's why I want to make sure that you know what you're talking about before you come up here on my live and make me a video of you looking really stupid.
Either way, isn't that evolution?
I will answer that, but I want to make sure that he knows what he's talking about first, so that I can answer the question that he's asking.
I don't think you know what you're talking about, bro. Like, genuinely.
All right.
How do you pass biology without going over evolution? That
All
doesn't
right.
make sense to me. Did you go to
Oh my goodness! All right, I don't care about the ad
Hey, we're
hominem.
just trying to talk here.
Yeah, I don't-
It's TikTok, all right? We're trying to talk here.
So listen, what you mean to say is you're talking about the whale's vestigial structures. You're talking about the pelvis bone that has those two bones that come from it. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you're calling me uneducated, and you're not even remotely educated in this argument. Okay, those leg bones that you're referring to, not fingertips. That's please, before you come up here and call me stupid, you might want to do a quick Google search on that, right? Those leg bones are not vestigial. Us having a tailbone is also not vestigial. Same thing with our appendix. It's not vestigial, right? We have uses for
Can
those.
I ask you what vestigial is?
Okay, yeah, great question. So here's the thing that you gotta realize. This is what evolutionists do. They change the definitions over time in an effort to fit their belief system. So if you look at this, hey brother, I'm gonna mute you up until I get this right here done. Okay. So vestigial used to mean didn't have a function. That's what it used to mean. And now, because there is no such thing as a vestigial structure, and they realize that, now they're trying to change the definition to not mean doesn't have a function, but they try to change it to say that it doesn't have its original function, which doesn't make any sense. It could have a secondary function, but its main function is gone, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. That's not what the definition was. So
Yeah, I'm asking you what it is or what it was.
I just told you. So vestigial structure used to mean that it did not have a function. It was completely useless. Now they're changing it to say that it's not, it may have a purpose, but it doesn't serve its original purpose. For example, like the guy mentioned our tailbone. All right, he was implying that we used to have a monkey's tail. That was the original use for it. And now either when you say that it's vestigial, either you're saying that it doesn't have a use anymore in humans, or it has a secondary use, but its primary use used to be a monkey's tail. But that is factually,
It hurts when you fall on it.
yeah, that is factually incorrect. Our tailbone is not vestigial. It has a use. It is anchor points for your reproductive organs. LOS. If you don't believe that, then go have the doctor remove yours, and I promise you, you won't be able to do some of the functions that you probably like doing as a young man, because your sexual reproductive organs have anchor points, muscles attached to those tailbones, and it's very important. And without it, you would have a huge problem. Huge problem. Our appendix is part of our immune system. It's not vestigial. And those two leg bones that come down off of the whale's pelvis, right, that you called fingertips because you were thoroughly uneducated in it. Those two bones right there are anchor points for the whale's reproductive organs. They're not vestigial. So there's only two options on this. The people that told you they're vestigial or told you that they used to be leg bones, and these are the only two options. Either they're ignorant about whale anatomy, and that's okay. You know, you can be ignorant about something. That's not saying you're stupid. It's just saying you don't have any knowledge about something. Or they're deliberately lying to you in an effort to get you to believe in evolution. Those did not used to be leg bones. They have a wild purpose today. And again, if you remove them, then you won't have any more baby whales. So they're essential to the whale, and they did not used to be leg bones. So I hope that answers your question. And lastly, let me add this right here. Even if I was to concede and say, okay, they are vestigial, that would be evidence of losing information, not gaining it. You can't claim that we went from a single-celled organism to a fully functional human by losing genetic information. That's not how evolution works. You got to show me gain.
Yeah, not by losing it, but evolution happens in crazy ways.
Right, but you would agree that if you're losing the information, that's not evolution. You're devolving. You're not evolving.
Yes, but what organisms are losing the information?
Well, exactly. That's
in your opinion.
That's my contention. There are really not any organisms losing information. They're not vestigial.
So we're always evolving, right?
No, there are some that are degrading over time, but I thought
do you think humans are degrading over time?
Yeah, sorry. So let me rephrase that, because I thought we were in the context of what we were talking about with the whales and stuff like that. So let me rephrase that. So outside of what we were talking about, yeah, things are degrading. Like we see the longest running evolutionary experiment with bacteria and stuff like this. That's all we see. And that's all we ever test and observe is degradation. And evolutionists claim that, long ago and far away, information gain happened, but literally all we see is degradation. Good morning. Right.
Yeah, I think that's natural. Like whatever organism, we're getting older. That's degradation.
Yeah, but it's not just us as a single. Like my man right here that mentioned fruit flies in the comments. There's a new
fruit flies. I hate them so much. Oh my god.
There's a new quote unquote species, if you will, of fruit fly, and they cannot. They've lost the ability to interbreed with some of the other species of fruit flies. I think we see this in rabbits and in squirrels too. That's not information gain, though. Again, that's degradation. They've lost the ability, and they're degrading so much that the two on the far ends no longer have the ability to reproduce.
Do you think humans are going towards that?
No. Maybe eventually, but I don't. I mean, there's an argument for it, saying that people back in the day used to be more fertile. I think that we know for a fact that the male species, if you will, humans, the men are losing testosterone. We do not produce as much testosterone as our grandfathers did, and that's a problem. That's why
that is.
Some people say it's the diet, and some people say that it's the work. So I think it's probably a combination of both.
By the way, I'm just asking for curiosity.
Yeah. So some people, because like the World War II generation and stuff like that, everybody before our generation had manual labor jobs. They got out, they had to chop wood, they had to, do things, physical things. And those physical things obviously help produce more testosterone. And now most people sit behind a chair at their job and type on a computer, and they
work
have
from
poor
home.
diets, so their testosterone is dropping. So in that kind of sense, I guess you could say, yeah, I mean, obviously, if we continue on that trajectory, then if you don't have an intervention of testosterone replacement, then naturally you're going to have a problem in our species.
Yeah, so I agree with you. Like, if people keep doing stuff like that, their jobs that don't require testosterone, then yeah, that could definitely happen. But me personally, I do work a job where I gotta pick up some heavy stuff, a lot of testosterone.
Yeah, and bro, people are having like 5 to 6 kids nowadays. That's anecdotal. The evidence doesn't it might be anecdotal where you're at, but I promise you the evidence does not support that, brother. We are falling below replacement rates, and it's not just here in America. A lot of places, not every place, but a lot of places all over the world are having a replacement problem because people aren't having enough kids, man. So I think that comment that you said people are having 5 to 6 kids. Well, not what I think. That's what that's what the statistics show. We're falling below replacement rates. So without enough kids, and if the technology obviously don't replace it, then we're going to have a crisis.
I think you're thinking about against other countries.
No, it's here in the
China
States too.
Or India. Like, they have way more kids, obviously.
But then China had a one-child policy to where they used to unalive any of the children that you had past one because of the population boom. They have since got rid of that because they're having a population problem. This is not just this is the first I've heard about this. This is not just in the United States, brother. It's all over the world. People are having and again, it's not every country. It's not every single one of them, but if I'm not mistaken, it's a good portion of them that are having problems because they're falling below replacement rates. And the United States is definitely one of those places.
Yeah, no. So that's a good topic. I don't think Asian countries really have much of a problem with that. I think it's more American issue. It's more American issue. We're not having the same amount of babies as India or China, but India and China, they have a lot of babies. Even with the law of one child per
so here's now granted I'm not saying Google is always the end all be all, but I just typed in what countries are falling below replacement rate. Today, most countries in the world are below the replacement rate of about 2.1 children per woman. This includes nearly all developed nations and many developing ones. Europe, North America, Asia, Latin America, and the Caribbean. Only sub-Saharan Africans still remain mostly above replacement rates.
Okay, but what if you're thinking about the amount of food in the world?
What about it?
So you have to distribute it equally.
This is not.
If you're like just.
Yeah, this is not through starvation or lack of food, brother. This is because people aren't having children. This is not because there's starvation or a lack of food. This is because people are deciding, for the most part, obviously, not to have children.
Good morning. I was wondering if I could interject really quick.
Sure.
As someone who just had a child, and I know a bunch of people that had kids, you may say it's anecdotal, but my child and all those other people's children count. A lot of people are not having kids right now because of how expensive it is to have a child these days.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you're not wrong. We are losing birth rate. You are absolutely not wrong. But how are we going to take care of the kids if there's not even enough supply to take care of them because everything is too expensive? For example, my daughter drinks formula. I just went and spent $40 on one can of formula.
Mm-hmm.
One can. That's a lot. That's literally a full tank of gas for the next 2 weeks for me. Like, that's
that
a lot.
shouldn't happen.
So that's what I'm saying. So we need to figure out better ways
Oh, I agree.
to like we need to figure out like better ways because women like I said, I have a child. I wanted my child. I was happy and grateful that I had my child. I had a lot of medical issues prior to that, so I'm grateful that I have her. But I also want to be able to make sure that if I have one, I want to be able to financially support the rest of them down the line. And that's becoming a lot harder now. So I think that if we found a better way to help as far as like men and women wise, I think that more people will want like children.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't want kids. A lot, like literally a lot of women are having babies after the age of 40. Like they're establishing their jobs. So I mean,
Yeah, I totally agree. That's why me and my wife only chose to have 2 children, because same thing.
right. And a lot of women and men, they're not really always fertile, and that's not really like because of like well, I don't know for men's sake, but for women's sake, we have underlying disorders, especially when it comes to our womb, like endometriosis, PCOS. Um, some women, they suffer from having, my mom, for example, she had an ectopic pregnancy. And she was at risk of unaliving because of that situation. And God, she did. Lady's crazy though, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, like it's not really, it's more like the science behind it. Like a lot of people may not see it as that, but women actually want kids. It's harder for us because sometimes our uterus just doesn't it doesn't want to.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, yes, but that's why a lot of women and a lot of scientists and a lot of doctors, they're trying to sit down and find a solution to this problem. Because once we find a good solution and we find a good way to make sure that we're financially supporting kids, we have enough room for them, we have enough space for them, we can have them. Because remember, back in the day, they didn't care. They was having kids left and right. So now they don't want, because we have, once again, PCOS, endometriosis. Some people have cervical cancer that they don't know about. So it's just hard. It's harder.
Yeah.
But for men, I don't really know. That I can't speak on that part.
Yeah.
Because listen, I know a guy, and trust me, the guy is more fertile than you think. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just coming up here to say that. I wasn't trying to be like rude in the comments. I just wanted to like.
No, I got you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's not that women don't want to have kids. It's hard to have kids nowadays, especially when you have this underlying disorder, or some women are not mentally capable of being moms. That's why a lot of women unalive their children and all this other stuff, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah.
But for example, I had cancer. I was more at a higher risk of not having my child than before. So, and even now, if I get pregnant again, I would still be classified as high risk, and I'm only 21. So, right. So it's just crazy. That's all.
Yeah. Well, no, I appreciate you sharing that with me. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So to the individual in the comments, evolution is why the fact of fossil record and DNA, I don't know what you're saying right there. Is DNA real? Yes, DNA is real. Do microorganisms exist, or is that a theory also? No, microorganisms exist. Reality is whatever happens. The earth doesn't care about how many people is on its surface. Yeah, man, you're welcome to come up. I don't know what you're asking. It kind of seems like you're all over the place. So yeah, DNA is real. So I don't know why that wouldn't be a thing. Creationists don't not believe in DNA, bro. It's so complex that we say that it's clearly created and it didn't create itself. That's not reasonable. So we believe that God created it as a building block to build things. Did you take the position that evolution is false, or did he take the position that evolution is false when you were having this conversation with your husband? DNA does not brother, DNA does not prove evolution. It's what? How does DNA prove evolution? Okay, I understand. Yeah, so evolution is one of the most backed sciences. No, it's not. What are you talking about? There's no evidence for evolution. Don't give me examples of microevolution. So I believe in microevolution, obviously. That's not macro. So there's literally no evidence for macroevolution. So you can't say that it's the most backed science. No, it's not. You have to give me evidence. You can't just make a claim like that. You have to be able to support that claim. All living things do not share DNA. They have similarities in DNA. They do not share it. You can't take their DNA and then come and put it in your DNA and make it work. That's not how it works. You don't share it. You have similarities, yes. The similarities prove common designer, not common ancestor. And again, no, they don't. They don't. We don't share like mitochondrial DNA, which is what you pass on from generation to generation. We do not share that. All right. So anyway, guys, my panel's open. So let's see if we can get some more guests in here. Maybe we can have some good conversations. Started off having some not so good ones. Then started to get a little bit better, but people get upset when you talk about this topic.
I want to thank you for showing me some things that,
Well, thank you, man.
just because I'm older than you are, doesn't mean that you can't learn me something.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You've seen my the Bible hasn't changed video. So that took me a while to do that one, yeah.
Yeah, it's not changed, and it's not going to.
Mm-mm. Yeah, that's one of the arguments that I usually get up here whenever I talk about evolution or I talk about the Bible. People say, "Oh, the Bible's changed. The Bible's changed." No, it hasn't. We have the manuscripts. We know that it hasn't changed. So,
Yeah, they're wanting to push out of the Bible. I can't think of what name it is. Right now, it's supposed to have 88 books in it.
yeah.
Why won't you believe what God put us to believe? I guess that's because me and you are both Christians, and
Yeah.
we see.
Listen,
what
you're
we see,
you're really brave in the comments. My panel is open, so why don't you just step up and show me how uneducated I am? So come on in up on the panel here and just show me how uneducated I am on this topic. There she is. Harlow, how are you?
Good morning. What are we? Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. I thought I would do an early morning one instead of a later one to see how, if we try to get a new crowd.
Yeah, let's just kind of see all the things for sure. I'm going to the beach with some girlfriends of mine later on. So
Nice.
I literally just got out of the shower and finished flat ironing my hair, which I swear is like a 1 hour procedure. Just got all that stuff done, but yeah, so we're up to some ladiness. I have actually went to battle and won with some scientists here lately, which is interesting.
Oh, nice. Scientist against scientist, huh?
Scientist against scientist. Because the fact of the matter is, I can't disprove it, and you can't prove it technically through science, and that's where the fight will happen. The fight will happen, and I'm getting very close to my retirement. I'm doing a lot of research. I've got some amazing interviews that I've got scheduled out for the fall and whatnot. So it's like, let's do this. If you wanna play with the tiger, let's see how hard she can scratch.
Yeah. Oh, big boy, you got some background noise, brother. I'll mute you up right there while you get that taken care of.
Okay.
Once you get that taken care of, big boy, you can unmute and see what you think. But you had some background noise.
My bad. I got it done.
You're good, brother. What you got?
It's really kind of not about this. I'm like kind of a young Christian, and I've been struggling lately. And from another Christian to,
Okay.
I've been having a sin like lust.
Yeah.
It's been a struggle for my whole life, and it's been so hard just to escape it. I don't know how to get out of this thing.
Yeah. Well, you're not alone, brother. That's the one thing that I think most men struggle with, obviously, because God gave us that desire, and then it's so readily available. You see it everywhere. You can't go to the beach anymore without it being thrown in your face. So it's a hard sin. It's a hard sin to get around. One of the things that I would say that would probably help you the best is obviously get into the Word. And then you have to protect what your eyes see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So make sure that you don't go anywhere. You know what I'm trying to say. You don't go to any sites or anything that's going to promote anything like that. And then get into the Word, man. Like anytime the Bible clearly says, resist the devil and he will flee. So if you resist it, then eventually he can't keep throwing it at you. He'll have to come back later and do it again because he has to flee at that moment. So, turn a Bible program on, but just get somewhere that you don't. And then you have to control your algorithms. One of the first things that I'd done, I had TikTok back in the day, and I ended up getting rid of it because when China had TikTok, they would, and this was proven. What they did with the young women is they threw a bunch of transgender videos at young women in America, and then what they would do to men is they would throw a bunch of scantily clad, women that just show their booty all day long. And so anytime you scrolled on TikTok, that's all you saw, and that's all your algorithm fed you. Now it's gotten better since China got rid of it, but that was literally one of the things that they were doing. So you got to make sure that your algorithm is not feeding that nonsense to you. You know what I mean?
So why don't you put your hypothesis into a scientific journal and see what comes back?
Listen, brother, I would love to have a conversation with you, but I don't care for the arguments from authority or majority. So if you got like something you'd like to talk about.
That's not an argument from authority. That's an argument from science. That's how you back your sciences by.
Sure. So, big boy, did you? I hope that helped anymore. Did you have anything else you wanted to ask?
No, I think my head out. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Yeah, man. God bless you. I appreciate it. All right, Pro. So
until you have your findings in a scientific journal and tested by other science.
Yeah. So I don't care for that. If you have something that you want to bring to the table or just wanted to come up and insult me because I don't have a scientific journal, that still doesn't make genetic information true. Just because I haven't published a paper doesn't mean that you can give me one example of testable and observable information gained.
I can.
Let me hear it.
What do you need? Do you want like the fact that like every like fetus like kind of starts off the same way? Or,
please go to evidence through embryology. Please go to that because I will smash you since I'm so uneducated in that.
You are uneducated. You think the Earth is 6,000 years old?
Okay,
dude.
let's find out. Let's go. Since you said, now I want you guys to pay attention that what he just said there was evidence through embryology. That all of our embryonic stages go through the earliest stages. That's what he said. It's the field there is called evidence through embryology. Okay. Now, for those of you who are listening, who might have not seen this on my page, I do a study on this on my page. Again, you can go through this evidence through embryology. This was a lie that was told 150 years ago. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, 150 years ago, one of the individuals that come up with this is, let me pull it up so I don't want to misquote or anything.
Yeah, but that's humanity, not the earth.
Give me
I
one.
think there's confusion. One of you is talking about humanity. One of you is talking about the earth.
No, we're talking about evidence through embryology, brother. Hold tight. Carbon dating, Jesus.
So I've been thinking about a lot of things lately, and everything you're saying is like putting my thoughts together. Like it's making sense.
Well, appreciate that, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
All right.
nothing he says makes sense. No, evolution is no evidence
Hold
for
on,
6,000
hold on.
year old Earth.
All
There's
right.
no evidence for intelligent design
All right.
anywhere.
So this is what you're referring to. Let me turn my camera on. It's called Ernest Haeckel. This is what you're. I'm going to show you. Hold on. I'm going to show you here. Let me flip this camera around so I can show you here. Flip camera.
Love pseudoscience and pseudohistory.
Oh yeah, you love pseudoscience and pseudohistory. I promise you, I'm gonna show you as soon as I can get this stupid
Oh
camera.
yeah, dude, I'm a French history fucking lunatic.
On.
How did a sloth get from the Amazon rainforest to the Middle East?
I got it.
to survive the
Don't change the topic. I'll get to that in a moment. But here's what you're talking about. This is Haeckel's drawings. This is the earliest stages of embryonic development. Brother, you got a lot of background noise, man. Mute up while I'm talking here, and then you can unmute. Who is it that's got that background noise? Why lie? It was you, brother. So I muted you up. You get a lot of background noise. So here are the earliest stages of embryonic development, and you can see they all look the same. Here's the second stages where they start to change from each other. This is what my brother just said, is that, that we all look the same in our earliest embryonic stages. And here's what they are towards the end. This one is a fish, a salamander, a turtle, a rabbit, a pig. I forget what these two are. It's down there. I can't read it just yet. But on the end here is a human. Okay. So you can see the fish looks identical to the human. And these little ridges right here, they call gill slits. You see the little bumps on those? They say that they used to represent gill slits. So this is Ernest Haeckel. He drew these in the 1860s. And he took them to Germany, and Germany almost single-handedly converted into atheism off of this because they said this is true. Here's the problem. Haeckel lied.
Germany, I love Germany's history. Right?
Yeah, Haeckel absolutely lied about this. He admitted that he lied. He was placed on trial by his university and found guilty. Here are the pictures in 1997. This is 1997. Here's the picture of the fish. Here's a picture of the salamander. I think this one's a chicken, or this one's a chicken, and this one's the human. So let's put this next to Haeckel's drawings. Uh-oh.
This is after the discovery?
Look at the fish. They don't look nothing
that's
alike. The
crazy.
salamander, they don't. Hold on, dude. Let me just mute up for a second, brother. Here's the turtle. They kind of look, but the tail's different. The chicken, they had to unfold the chicken in an effort to make it look like that. There's the rabbit, and here's the human. They don't look nothing alike. Nothing. And you brought that up here in today, 150 years ago. Now, this guy, again, was placed on trial at his university and found guilty. He lied about it. Here it is in textbooks. This was in a textbook in 2011. We know that it's a lie. It's a known lie, and still they're putting it in the textbooks in 2011. Here it is in 1998, and here it is on the page. You can go to my page, and you can actually see the study material. This is in a fourth grade in 1998. 2001, here it is again in the textbooks. 2011, it's in the textbook. And here you can just do a simple Google search on this, and again, it'll pop up that this is true. This was a lie told 150 years ago, and look, he left. He left.
That's crazy, dude. That's sweet, bro. Thanks for proving that point. That was nice.
Yeah. Oh, come on, man.
Well, actually, the only thing that William would need in order to do his own paper is he would need for it to be peer reviewed. And guess what he has on this panel?
Uh-oh,
I'm
scientist.
So glad I came across your page, bro. This is sick. I want to know what else you talk about.
Yeah, but hold on. Let me dance for a minute, because my buddy was going to come in here and show me how uneducated I was. And then the first thing he did when he come in here was get dunked on. You got dunked on, man. You got dunked on so bad that you couldn't even say goodbye when you left.
The thing is, you're too educated for most people.
Right, and you have to remember how William and I met. Like, I was originally brought to William's panel to, like, basically unalive him.
Yeah.
and ended up liking him quite a bit. And we've had multiple conversations since then, even personal ones, and it's gone in a
I got a
completely different
question though.
direction.
Like, why do people turn away the evidence? Like, you show them the evidence to their face, the proof to their face, like they just don't like to accept it.
Because sometimes it's easier to believe what you feel than it is to believe what we can prove.
Yeah,
Well said.
That's science.
Yeah, well
What
said.
can we prove?
And science is always changing, and you know what I mean. Like, there's nothing wrong with it.
Agreed, as it should. I mean,
And there's
gonna
nothing
be
wrong with
things-
being wrong. You're being wrong. You just get the chance to be right next time. You know, like I like.
I don't think you're going to have any scientist, a modern day scientist, come to you and be like, there is no daggone way that this particular color of this particular steak is anything other than green. And by God, that's what I mean. You rarely run into that anymore. That's why we talk about scientific theory, because it does have the ability to evolve.
Right.
New information is coming up all the time. So we do the best we can with the information that we have today.
I have a few questions for the host.
Sure, man. What's up,
I
bro?
won't be too long.
You're fine.
Okay, just so to get a baseline of if our beliefs align, why did God destroy mankind with the flood? What was his reasoning for doing so?
Yeah, the man's thoughts were and imaginations were evil continuously.
Right, wickedness to put it simply, wickedness in the hearts of men.
Yeah.
Okay, we agree that. Okay, why did God destroy Sodom and Gomorrah?
Sin, unrepentant sin.
Yeah, that was sin.
Okay, sin.
Mm-hmm.
and
Unrepentant sin.
this is only two instances of God destroying mass number of peoples.
Okay.
Without fixing the problem that he was going after. So therefore, I can't worship an ineffective God. He destroyed millions of people. How many ever people was on the earth at the time of the flood? And how many ever people was in Sodom and Gomorrah? He didn't fix the wickedness and evils, the wickedness in the hearts of men.
What he said about, wait a minute,
I'm talking to the host.
Hold on.
I don't want to interrupt it. I will let him play it short.
God, oh, brother, just
You're going to get it wrong.
finish what you're saying.
Now look, like I was saying, he's destroyed multiple lives, unalived them, and he did not fix a single problem. In 2026, we can destroy countries with the press of a button. If that's not wickedness in the hearts of men, you don't know what is. So why would anybody worship that kind of basically murderous God that's ineffective? He didn't fix almost 23% of Gen Zers identify as LGBTQIA, almost a quarter of an entire generation. It's lunacy.
Satan's little season.
All right, Harlow.
So a couple of things, God gives you free will. And when it came to
Hold on, brother.
Everything is going to happen.
Why?
You're like, slow it down.
Why are you so upset, man? I literally stopped and said,
because I'm a woman.
I jumped on.
And
I
when
said,
it came to Sodom and Gomorrah, God asked if you can bring me, and I forget, like, William's going to know the number. I don't remember the number, but God was like, if you can bring me this many
You give me a
numbers.
different answer other than free will, because that's
brother, don't
That is your answer.
hold on, wait, don't be disrespectful. I literally, I didn't jump on her, but I stopped her so you could finish, and you were like, let me finish.
I'm talking to you. I made that clear.
Brother, this is my panel. I don't care if you don't like the answer. Get off. I don't care. You can go do that. Go do that crying on somebody else's panel. This is a cry free panel right here, bro. There's no tears in this panel.
So the free will is a bunk answer.
Okay. Well, here's
You
my
have
thing.
something besides free will.
You can't call it a bunk answer because she hasn't got it all the way out yet.
No, it is. I know exactly where she's going.
Then let her get it out. If I have to mute you up one more time, dude, I'm going to kick you. I don't want to do that. Let her get it out, just like I let you get it out, and then you can respond to that.
I was talking to, and that's not being honored.
All right, man. Have a good one. You're not educated enough to be on this panel.
That was crazy.
Now that's actually shows if y'all been in this room anytime this morning, you've seen that. That's anytime the atheists get mad when you disagree with their worldview. You're not allowed to like if you come up here and you're an atheist and you believe in evolution, I'm not going to get mad at you. That's fine. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to get you saved. I want to have a good conversation, even if we don't end up agreeing.
Yeah.
But
Can
more.
I ask you something? So,
Sure.
I've been feeling a lot lately, like the Bible. Like I want to get into it, like really bad. But when I read different, like scripts, like I can't help but to like relate it into like a scientific way. Like I see it as like a technology. Like I can't see it in, like into a spiritual type way. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm like deciphering the words and just like the whole imagination of it as a sci-fi book. If that makes any sense.
So what's your question?
Well, like is that like a bad way to view it, or should I like should I not see it as a physical way and as a spiritual way? Are they both the same?
No, you should. I mean, these stories truly happen, so I would look at it like that. It's not.
And I believe that too.
Yeah, it's not a science book, so I wouldn't treat it like a science book because it's not.
Okay.
The Bible was written to us. It wasn't. Or correction. Let me say. I said that backwards. The Bible was written for us. It wasn't written to us. So there's a lot of things in the Bible that the people of the time understood what it meant because it was written to them, but we don't have that. I'll give you a real quick example, like the Nephilim. When people go off about the angels having half angel, half, the Bible doesn't say that. It doesn't not say that either. It only gives basically one verse about the Nephilim, and people draw these huge conclusions from them. But long story short, we just don't know because the Bible doesn't say enough about it, because clearly the people that understood the stories back then knew what they were talking about. We've lost that over time. So the Bible was written for us. It wasn't written to us. So we got to be able to treat the Bible like the book that it is. It's not a science book that's going to tell you how to tie your shoes, but it will.
No, I know, I got you.
It will tell you how to live your life. And I don't think there's any quote unquote contradictions in it. It depends on how you define the word as far as against science, but obviously miracles are classified as miracles, and the things that I don't see anything scientifically wrong with the Bible. I'll say it that way.
Right. So I see like angels. I believe like they're like aliens, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? Different beings from another planet. You know, I feel like Jesus was a different being from another planet too. You know, and that's just the way I'm perceiving it. I don't know if it's like.
Yeah, that's not true at all. He's not a different being from it. He is God incarnate. So, as a Christian, we believe in the Trinity, right? We believe.
So where would he live, or where would he be?
He's always been. Where would he be implies a beginning, right? And he is outside of time, space, and matter. Now, if you ask me to understand that, my human brain cannot comprehend. No human brain can truly comprehend infinity, right? It's just not a concept that we can grasp. But God is outside of time, space, and matter. And God is, you have one. Now this starts to get off into the philosophy stuff. And other people do better than I do.
That's my problem. I can't get away from the philosophy.
Well, there's like IP on YouTube. You can go watch him. He's a good philosopher as far as Christianity is concerned. There's a lot of good philosophers out there that do good Christian stuff, but it's
really?
Yeah, it's one divine nature, one God, one divine nature in three distinct persons: the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So they're distinct in their personhood, but the same in their divine nature. So that's why you see scriptures in the Bible, like when in the very first part of Genesis, it says, let us make man in our image, where there's a Trinity there, because God is the only one that creates. He's the only one that has the ability to create. In 1 John, it says, in the beginning was the Word. That's talking about Jesus. They called Jesus the Word. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word made everything that was made. So Jesus, there it shows us that Jesus was with God during the creation, and he created. And that's why you see in Genesis, when it says, let us make man in our image. Another funny one is when my brother just mentioned Sodom and Gomorrah. In that verse right there, it says, Yahweh rained down fire and brimstone from Yahweh in heaven. So you have two Yahwehs in that one verse.
Yahweh?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have Yahweh on earth, and then you have Yahweh in heaven. Yahweh rained down fire and brimstone from Yahweh. So there you go. You have two Yahwehs in that one verse.
And that equals one person?
Yeah. Not one person. It's
sorry.
No, you're fine.
I got you.
Yeah, you just it is. It's difficult to kind of grasp and understand. So I would say take it a bite at a time. But yeah, it's one divine nature, three distinct persons.
So Jesus on earth, Jesus in heaven.
Well, we know them by different names. Like we know that we call.
I know, I get that. I'm just thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just trying to put the pieces together, just so I
Yeah.
have like the basic understanding of it.
Yeah, they're all
I know it gets deeper.
they're all three God, but they have distinct roles, right?
I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
Thanks.
It's interesting. I've been super interested into it lately, and I just wanna just wait till I get that motivation to like really put my own all into it.
I got you, man.
Yeah.
What else? What's up, brother? You all right?
Hey.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yo, good talk, man. I'll talk to you later. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you.
God bless.
God bless you.
Oh, darn it. Doom's gonna take off before I could give him a little piece of advice that was given to
I'm
me.
here for it. I got you. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm very like that, like intellectual, like you are. I try to make philosophy out of everything. And a teacher of mine in the spiritual matters told me the longest journey I'll ever take is the 2 feet from my head to my heart. So,
Well said. Well said.
Because I like that. But like the thing about it too, me personally, keep it on the eye. I'm very spiritual as well, though, and I clash them all together, and I think that's my issue, or it might not be an issue.
It won't be an issue if you get educated in the topic, brother. That's not. Oh, Sal, where'd you go, man? I was wanting to talk to you, bro.
Yep, that's exactly the point right there. I have to study it more for sure.
Hey, Sal,
Yes,
if you just left, man, if you're still there, come back up, dude. I want to find out what's going on with you, man. I want to find out if you've turned back over to Christ, because you were pretty close. So if you're still there, come back up.
I'm gonna add you as a friend. Is that cool?
Yeah, man.
Cool.
Yeah, man. But yeah, get yourself educated in the topic. That way
I
you
should start read the Bible. Just start reading the Bible, right? Just start doing
well,
that.
do it. One of the ways that I would say the best way to study the Bible, in my opinion, is to do it topically. You can
order.
any way
Chronological order.
any way you want to, just do it topically. About a topic.
Okay.
Because if you just sit down and read it from beginning to end, which it's fine, you can do it that way. But if you're a new Christian, I would say it's probably more important that you start with the New Testament.
The New Testament.
Yeah, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, starting there.
Okay.
Get your sound theology or philosophy on Jesus and what God is, and then you can kind of move from there.
What's your name?
My name is William.
William, nice to meet you. My name's Pete, so it was nice to meet you.
Yeah, man.
Take care.
You too, brother.
Bye.
later, Doom.
Peace.
All right, what is you got something on the topic, brother?
Yeah, I got a couple little ones I could throw.
Sure.
First off, I'm a Christian follower. I'm a Christ follower. His teachings, his ministry. I do believe he was divine as God. So,
Amen.
just to premise that. So, the evolution. Do you believe in micro evolution?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we were on the same page there. And my second one is it weird of me to think that in the beginning there was God taking a piece from himself to create the first thing ever created, a life-giving spirit through Jesus, through which everything was created for him, by him, in order to be reconciled to him.
What are you trying to say? That's Jesus, or?
Yeah, I might be blending a couple of different ideas.
Yeah, so that would
I
mean.
just wanted to bounce that to you.
Yeah, that would mean that Jesus was created, right? And that would be anti-Christian.
Well, created from God, as God.
Yeah, but then
Yes,
that still implies he was created, which is anti-Christian. That's not a Christian viewpoint. Jesus wasn't created. He is no single Trinity was created. That's God. That's the divine nature is God. So none of them were quote unquote created. Now, if you want to say that, Jesus's fleshly body had a beginning, of course, Of course, that's true, but that's his body, not his nature. You know, Jesus didn't come into existence when he was born to Mary, right? He was already God before that. And again, we can see that in John when it says, "In the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God, and he made all things that was made." So if he was made, then that wouldn't apply. He couldn't have made all things that was made if he was made.
And that is where I'm dragging my theory from. So
Yeah.
to
I'm
speak.
sorry, I accidentally requested.
Oh, okay. No problem.
But I'll stay if you want me to.
You can. Yeah,
It's a good topic.
you're free to stay up.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. But where are you getting that? What ifs? Like, is that just something you're thinking about, or like
Something, it's in my brain from
Right.
1 John to, what I actually believe. I feel like it's not far out of the realm of possibility that God created. The first thing was Jesus of himself, created it from himself to be the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. And then the Word became flesh, because it had to be a sort of different thing. So if God was maybe, created Jesus first out of his own self, a life-giving spirit through which he created everything to be reconciled back to himself. Maybe it's far out there, but I just wanted to bounce it off you.
yeah, it kind of is, and I don't want to hope that doesn't sound bad, but that there's a lot of people that believe that. Don't get me wrong, it's not something that hasn't been brought up before, but it's not a Christian viewpoint. Mostly it's a Muslim viewpoint. Like, this is the conversation that I usually have with Muslims, not Christians.
Yeah, I'm definitely not Muslim.
Yeah. So usually, we see
Construction worker in Florida.
I got you. We see in Colossians 1:16-17, it says, for by him all things were created. All things were created through him and for him. He
Right.
is before
That's what I
all
was-
things, and in him all things held together. So that statement couldn't be true if he was created, because then he didn't create all things. He would be the one thing that he didn't create. So that statement wouldn't be true.
It
Then-
would reconcile all the times he speaks of my Father.
Well, it wouldn't. There's no need to reconcile that. There's no contradiction. So
It's me and my brain, like doom scroller that just left. I do this.
I got you. And then you have Revelations 22:13. It says, and this is Jesus, because Revelations is the revelation of Jesus. It says, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. So that's Jesus, obviously. And he's the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. So obviously he can't be the first if something pre-existed him, right? So, yeah, man, it's not it's just not a biblical viewpoint to say that Jesus was created.
Okay, I got one more. Can I just throw it out?
Yeah, man.
The Holy Spirit is a feminine energy.
No, it's not. It doesn't even have a gender.
I need to hold on. I need to
I just threw it out there like a firework, bud.
like. So what do you mean? Well, here's the thing. You can't say that. I mean, obviously, when God refers to himself, he always refers to himself in the masculine pronoun. I understand that. But we also have to define what do you mean by femininity, because you can't say that God doesn't hold these attributes. In one part, it says that he will gather you like a mother hen under his wings. That's clearly a feminine attribute. And clearly God created woman and gave her femininity. So he had to understand what that was for him to be able to get it to it. So the only thing I would ask for there is just some clarifying. I want the definition clarified as to what do you mean when the Holy Spirit is more feminine.
Okay, this is me trying to make sense of established cultures that had a divine feminine. I mean, it goes further back than Isis, and all the way to Athena cultures, everything. Hatshepsut, they were represented. So I feel like in the Abrahamic religions, the divine feminine is extinguished in a way, but definitely not exalted. So the Holy Spirit being the divine feminine, who's always addressing man against man's natural behavior.
Okay, so what I would say to that is if it's presenting in a female way, in a way that you're kind of describing, like some of the other Greek gods and stuff did, then we don't see that that I'm aware of anywhere in the Bible. Now, if you want to say that they have attributes that could be classified as feminine, like the example that I gave, that I would agree with, but not the. If you're saying that he's like female presenting, then there's just, there's no scripture to support that.
Yes, I know, but I thought I'd gather up my greatest questions for one of the only guys on TikTok that I knew could possibly give an answer.
Well, man, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, well, my door got open and my dog got in here. Let me let him back out. So, Leah, what's up? How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So, you a Bible believing Christian, Leah?
Absolutely.
Man, that's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. And he is if you say that he was created, you take his complete divinity away from him.
Absolutely.
Even to say that he is not God, you take his divinity. I have this discussion every day with one person that I know, and she just does not believe that he is the same. And I was like, there's more scripture to debunk it.
Yeah.
Evolution is fun, yeah.
Yeah, I'm changing up the background, see if we can get some more engagement.
Okay.
I would say that I'm still not 100% Bible believing Christian. I do follow the teachings of Christ, but you can't possibly believe every single passage in that book is accurate.
Well, because
that would be the only time it ever was accomplished in scientific history.
So, Harlow is new to Christianity, guys. So that's perfectly. It's not a salvation issue. So, it's not a salvation issue. I would take the position that it's literally true, and I think I can show through textual criticism. And I have a video on my page, selfless plug here. If you guys would go to my page, it's about how the Bible has not been changed. And I take the 5, I think, biggest arguments that the Bible has been changed and show you that it literally has not been changed.
But you know how we have textbooks in biology, they'll say edition 1 to edition 2 to edition 4, because we gain information as we go along through research and development. So this is one particular book that has not allowed for that, and that is questionable for me as a scientist of why are we not updating this information? Is there no way to investigate what these people actually said or actually meant?
But Harlow, they did do that. Yeah, it wasn't until recently as far as the Bible times are concerned, it wasn't until recently that it was quote unquote finished. This book was written over thousands of years and added to. I mean, you have the Pentateuch, you have the Old Testament, the Torah, which were the first 5 books of the Bible, and then they added the the prophets, they added the Psalms, and then you had the New Testament where they added all these other different books. So it was updated over time. Absolutely.
So then what is your opinion of the scrolls?
I love textual criticism. Which scrolls are you talking about?
The unalived sea scrolls.
Oh, yeah. I love those. Those are Old Testament. They're not New Testament. So they don't have any New Testament knowledge in them. But I love it because it shows us what they had with them, what they were passing along. And it doesn't contradict, like the great Isaiah scroll we have today, and it's word for word the same. Now, people get really upset when you say word for word there. What do I mean by word for word? They have different spellings of names because there was no Webster's dictionary that says we should spell it this way. So they do spell names different, and the sentence structure may be different, but they're saying identically the same thing. It's still telling you the same story identically. So
I have no issue with that. My issue with it, and I know that people say that the scrolls are 90% accurate, but I'm like, they were in bits and pieces. How can you show me as a scientist unequivocally that we shouldn't consider there could be some issues with that when we're missing chunks of pieces of this material?
yeah, that's great. I'll show. I haven't done an Old Testament study, so I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit less knowledgeable in the Old Testament. But we have the same thing with the New Testament. So you can look this up. They call these P. It's like P. Papyrus is what it's called. P55.
Papyrus, yes.
Yeah.
Papyrus.
Right. But the scientists name it P55, P66 because they don't have the whole thing. It's just fragments. And they call it P55, P66.
That's my thing. It's fragments.
Right, but you could what we do know is we have so many copies, and the New Testament's not even close. We have literally tens of thousands of manuscripts. So we can compare, it might say in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, just for phrase, just be the same. Well, in the fragment, it might say in the beginning, but we don't have the rest of it. So how do we know that what they said? Because we have so many different copies of the same scripture that finishes out that verse. So we know
right,
that.
And to address Jay Paca in the comments, actually that is a huge conversation right now. Is we can't disprove it, we can't prove it. We're still stuck in the middle of trying to figure it out. So you need to understand that there's not necessarily an absolute in science when we are still currently researching a particular subject. We're not magicians. We can't give you the answers that you want overnight.
Well, and not to totally butt in, is that okay if I?
Yeah, if you're adding, go ahead.
So I would just say that is something that is really centered to faith. Because science is just explaining creation. And so when we lean on science to try to prove the divinity of God or his word, I think we're doing it backwards. And I would just like to say, and forgive me because I'm not clear on my years here, but I believe that originally it was the Roman Catholic Church who added in texts. And then later on, when people had removed themselves from that church, they had realized that that was not actually divine scripture. And so they took it out, resulting in the 66 books that we have now.
There you go.
So when people scripture has changed, it's not that it has. It's that people added to the Holy Scripture when they weren't supposed to. And then when they were retracted.
I got you. Is there any evidence to support that claim? Because...
Yes.
Okay,
and
what
I
do we
do
got?
have it in my notes. I debate on a separate account. I just don't have them in front of me. But yes.
Okay, well, I need an example of that because I don't think that's true at all.
Sure.
So I'm going to switch to my phone. I'll be right back. I'm switching over.
I can send it to you. I just don't have access to my other account right now.
Yeah, I would really like that because I study this pretty intensely, and I don't think that's true at all about people adding stuff in that wasn't supposed to be there. I need evidence for that because my claim is the exact opposite.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you believe in the 66 books we have currently?
Yes.
Being the Holy Scripture and nothing else?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I believe the same thing. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
But yes, I will.
So
I'll
wait,
get into that other account when I can.
hold
and
on.
I just gave you a follow, and I'll send that over to you.
Okay, I appreciate it. But wait, you said you believe that too. So wait, I'm confused. So do you believe that the
Yes,
Bible was
so Let
added?
me so let me clarify. So I believe that back in the early 19th century, things were added to the original 66 books. Okay, and then later on, when and again, forgive me, I will send you everything that I have. When the church separated,
You're talking
they were
about the
removed.
Catholic Church.
Yes.
Okay, no, I'm with you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I didn't. I thought you were talking about my Bible, and I'm like, that's not true. You're talking about the
No,
Catholic.
no.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Correct. Yeah, I'm sorry if I didn't make that clear. Yeah, so that is my take on why people believe that things have been taken out.
Yeah.
And while in my ESV version, there are certain verses related to fasting that have been removed that are present in my NIV. So that I do take a little bit of an issue with. Some of them are in Matthew.
Yeah.
I believe it's 7:21 and 22. But I would also just like to say really quickly for anybody that the argument about the translations. So if I say I'm undressing, or if I say I'm disrobing, or if I say I'm taking my clothes off, am I saying different things, or am I
Right.
saying the same thing in 3 different ways?
Yeah.
So that's something that I use to kind of bridge that gap in the translations as well, because exactly what you were saying, we know word for word that our Holy Bible, the 66 books, are true.
Yeah. Well, we know. I understand what you're saying now. Yeah. So the Catholic Church, they have additional books and stuff like that, but the
Correct.
66 books are canonical. Nobody, they didn't add. You have a different churches that did it, but the 66 books are canonical. That's what it is. So
Exactly.
I understand exactly what you're saying now.
Okay,
And
perfect.
yeah, and we have evidence, guys, that those, and I got this on my page. Please go watch the video. It's the Bible has not been changed. And when I say that, I'm talking about the 66 books of my Bible. I'm not talking about somebody else's Bible that, like the Catholics or something like that. I'm not a Catholic, so they do add in additional books. And some of the books, like you'll see people fighting over, is the Book of Enoch and things like this. It might be an interesting read, but we know for a fact that even the Jews didn't consider the Enoch canonical. They copied it. They thought it was an important book, but they did not consider it to be scripture. So we should not consider it to be scripture.
Agree. And I think that there's something to be said for additional historical context, but if it contradicts the word of God, that's when it becomes a problem. And that's how we know that it's not the Holy Scripture.
Yeah. Outstanding. Yeah, well, I'm with you now. I'm with you. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. What we got there? Catholic. What's up, man?
Yeah, the Apocrypha you guys removed in 1820.
We didn't remove it. It wasn't in there.
No, you removed it in 1820 because in the Council of Rome, that's when all the 73 books were canonized.
Yeah, but you can see at the Council of Trent that was way before that. That the 66 books were already considered to be canonical.
The Council of Rome was before the Council of Trent.
Was it? I take your word on it, but that wasn't in the 1800s though. Then.
No, that's when the Protestants started removing it.
But that's the 66 books. Like we already have it in Sinaiticus. That was way before. That's the earliest Bible we have. Why doesn't it have any of your additional books?
So what year did that come out?
Codex Sinaiticus was in 350 AD or 350 AD. It's literally the oldest version. You also have Vaticanus, and I don't know much about Vaticanus, but I know Sinaiticus. And they don't have any of your Apocrypha in it. I can't hear you if you went off the app.
Yeah, no, the Council of Rome was in 83, 82. And that's when the Bible was actually canonized.
But that's not true. We know that the Bible was not just canonized.
It is historically true, my friend.
No,
You can
it's
look it
not.
up.
Okay.
It's not. I'm not making this up.
All right. Council of Rome.
The Council of Rome was in 382, and that's when the Bible was canonized.
But that's
the Council of Trent, the Council of Ephesus, and all those other councils.
I got it. I got you, brother.
Solidifying it at the time.
No, but that's not true either. We know that the 66
100%
brother,
true.
I know. Just I'm gonna mute you up. You're getting really excited. If I can't get it out, you don't know what to respond to. Okay, so I'm gonna let you get it out just like you did, and then now you let me get it out, and then that way we can have a conversation. It's not just you going nuh-uh or me going nuh-uh. Okay. So the 66 books, they were copied. There was no, the Bible is an open transmission, unlike the Quran, right? Quran's a closed transmission. The Bible's an open transmission, meaning that people copied copies. There was no council that got together and said, this is what the 66 books are going to be. They were already canonical before any council. That's true. That's a fact. They were already canonical. We know this.
And who canonized them?
Are you not listening? This is the problem when you interrupt and then you just didn't hear anything that I just said. So what I just, it was an open transmission. There was no one person that canonized the Bible. We know what the early Christians considered to be canonical, the 66 books, because we know what they copied. There was no one person. The copies literally went all over the place. There was no one authority that said, this is what the canonical version is going to be. That's a fact statement. We know what the Christians copied, and we know what they have. And that was before any council.
But 382 of the Council of Rome was when the first Bible was canonized.
No, it's not true.
That's history.
No.
Every other religion agrees to that.
No, it's not true. That's not, every religion doesn't agree to that, because I'm telling you right now that that's not true.
Brother.
They didn't canonize something that was already there. They may agreed on it. That's fine. You can say, look, this is when they agreed on it. Just like the Council of Trent agreed on it, the Council of Nicaea agreed on it, but they did not canonize it, because that would imply that they had to leave. That the Bible was already canonical. The 66 books were already canonical, brother. There was no council that said, they might have agreed with it, but I don't care if they agreed with it.
Rome is when they got together and they put the Bible together. That's when they actually put it together.
That's not true at all.
It is you don't know your history at all, brother.
Brother, do me a favor and look up Codex Sinaiticus. It is called a codex because that is a book, right? A codex means book. Before this, they were in scrolls, scroll form. Christians copied scrolls. Codex Sinaiticus, Vaticanus is actually a little bit earlier, but Sinaiticus is the oldest New Testament gospel that we have. It is in a codex, a book, before your council, brother. So please don't come up here and tell me I'm uneducated when you are factually incorrect, man. You got this Catholic doctrine that's teaching you wrong. Codex Sinaiticus was in 350. Your council was in 382. They did not turn it and put it together in a book when it was already there in a book before your council. I can't hear you if you're off the app. He's looking it up. This is so funny because whenever the first thing that I did, thank you for the stickers. The first thing I did was look up his Council of Rome. And it says right here, important clarification. The council, and I'm not saying Google's the go-to authority, but the Council of Rome did not concrete the Bible. Instead, it recognized the books that were already widely used, which was what my claim was. And here it is. I'm just reading it now. Confirmed which writings were considered authoritative, already done. So, yeah, there you go. Like it just recognized what the Christians already had, which was what I already claimed. Come on, Catholic. If you're off the app, brother, I can't hear you. And I don't mind you doing some research, man, but maybe you should do this before you come up and claim that I was wrong, because now we're not having a conversation. You're just somewhere else. So come back on the app so that we can have this conversation. If not, I'm going to move on. But yeah, anyway, going back to my conversation with you, Harlow, I think I could show without a doubt that the Bible hasn't been changed. Now, I want to make sure that everybody knows that doesn't mean that people have to believe the book of Genesis, as a creation story. They don't. They just have to believe the Jesus part. But I would say that, we need to be theologically consistent.
The longer I hang out with you, the more I realize I'm a long way away from retirement.
I'm putting you to work, huh? Well, don't start from scratch. You can pick up where I'm leaving off. Go to my videos and check them out.
I will. I'll take a look at them and see, because I want to well, how did we get to this conclusion? And it's just in my natural scientific brain to ask those questions. Well, how did we get to this conclusion?
Yeah, look, he left too. Come on, man. Don't come up here and throw rocks at me and then tell me how wrong I am. And then you don't have enough intestinal fortitude after you look up something to say you were wrong, man. If you're wrong about something, you just say hey, look, I apologize, and you're wrong. But when you come up here, make a claim, make me feel like I'm really uneducated, that's how you end up on my page. That's how you end up in a video, is when you tell me how wrong I am, and then you just leave without conceding or saying, oh, you know what, my problem, I made a mistake. Everybody makes mistake. I say something that's wrong on here. I'm not an expert in everything. I talk about this field is extremely large, so I can't be educated in everything. And so when I'm wrong, I would like to think that I have enough intestinal fortitude to say, oh, my bad, I misspoke on that. Well, Mr. Catholic. I want to hear the truth. They just dropped you. I didn't drop him, guys. I didn't drop him. He left on his own. I didn't kick him. And I have this up here to Trump Antichrist, Satan Turning Point Heritage Foundation. Well, the reason why I have Trump not being the Antichrist up here is, one, let me say this for everybody listening. It's not about politics. I don't care who you voted for. You're not going to learn who to vote for or who not to vote for on my page at all. It is literally just because this topic is so big on TikTok of people calling Trump the Antichrist. So the Antichrist has some descriptors in the Bible. One of those descriptors is he will not have the desire of women. Well, that doesn't fit Trump. Trump clearly has the desire of women. He got in trouble for hiding a relationship that he had with a corn star, right? So that clearly doesn't fit Trump. He was known as an international playboy before he ever put in for president. So how would that fit? So it's not a politic thing. It doesn't fit Trump thing. Every time I try to put it up here, they screw with the microphone. Well, come on up and we'll see if that happens today. But I'm going to need some evidence about Trump being the Antichrist. So, like I said, come on up. What's up, Chuck?
What's up?
Doing all right, man?
Yeah. Trump did not have the desire of Stormy Daniels. He paid her.
He paid her off not to tell nobody.
No, he paid her for the services.
No, he didn't pay her until afterwards, brother.
Yeah, he paid her for the services.
No.
She did not want to do anything with him.
He paid, I get it. He paid her through the magazine. What was it? Silly magazine play. They paid her $100,000 to buy the story and to keep it quiet. He didn't pay her to do it. He paid her to be quiet about it.
No, he paid her to do it.
Man, you're
and
just
then his fixer,
brother.
Cohen,
brother, you're
paid
just
her to be quiet. It had nothing to do with the National Enquirer.
So you were actually
Yeah.
so wrong
Yeah,
right now.
you're
Have you ever
not right
actually
at all.
watched the documentary?
I am.
She didn't talk about that at all.
Yeah, I'm not trying to sound mean, Chuck, but you are factually inaccurate. He did not pay her for
You're
the
so
services.
wrong.
He
They paid her. They paid her. Yes.
They paid her for the story. I can show you National
They
Enquirer.
paid her for
Thank
the
you.
story.
They paid her to be quiet about it, not to do the services.
It was $140,000 to do it.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't.
Yes, it
It was $150,000 to not
Okay.
talk about it.
Here you go, Chuck. Give me a source. Give me a source that I can go to and look at, because you are so factually inaccurate, man. You're just doubling down on it. Say it again.
Look at her interviews, especially where she describes his penis as being really tiny.
Well, she's an adult.
I get it. Congratulations on that. That has nothing to do with the topic that we said. I want to know where she got paid for her services, not for the story. We all know that she got paid for the story to keep it quiet. I want to know where she got paid for the services.
She didn't. The whole thing about it was is like he promised her a spot on a Celebrity Apprentice, which he didn't have the ability to do. However, this woman,
That is a lie.
that is not. It came out of her own mouth. It came out of her own mouth. Home Fry listened to the documentary.
Celebrity Apprentice. That is a lie.
Okay, well then it came out of her own mouth. Then
What's your source? What's your source?
the Stormy Daniels documentary. She did it herself. She did it herself. Like that all came out of her own documentary, of which she got paid quite a chunk to do. She's the one that said that. Go back and watch it. Because she also admits, because like she shows up at the hotel room a little early and he's like, oh, I'm not ready. She barely knows this guy to a hole in the ground. And she's like, oh, well, she was comfortable going to his hotel room. Idiot. You don't know who this man is. You're just gonna
Ma'am, idiot.
You need to go watch it because
Hold
you're
on.
so factually inaccurate right now. You're just making a fool of yourself.
I'm not saying that.
Donald Trump has a history of paying for sex.
I'm not saying that. Hold on. I'm not.
You don't have the ability to listen.
Hold on. I'm not saying that you have to. Oh my goodness! Stop. So let's get this train back on the tracks here, brother, because I'm asking for a source, and I'm not saying you have to believe Chat GPT or AI, but literally just to type this in, I just typed in, was Stormy Daniels paid for the story or for the act on Trump? It literally says $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels was not for the Schmex Act. It was paid later in 2016 as a non-dis.
There you go. Thank you.
Why are you saying thank you? It was paid for the story. Don't come up here and switch your argument in real time to my argument and then say thank you.
You just said for the Sex Act.
No, not.
No, he didn't.
Not.
It wasn't.
Not for the Schmex Act, you Einstein. Pay attention. She was paid for the story, not for the Schmex Act, and you just left.
And she was paid to keep her mouth closed. She should have kept her legs closed, but she was paid to keep her mouth closed. Watch the damn documentary. I mean, it's out there for you to watch. Watch it.
And again, guys, I don't want to make this sound like I'm taking up for Trump on my life. That's not what this is for. But you can't come up here and make a claim and then not support that claim. It's just, we're not going to do that. You're going to have to support your claim.
Here's the deal. I watched that documentary twice because it really surprised me. I even to the point where I took notes on it. And this is what happened. He promised her a position on Celebrity Apprentice, which he didn't have the right to give her because she was an adult film star. So that was going to be a stretch at the very least. Like that was not likely to happen. She engages in activity with him. She is given a certain amount of money. I think it was like $150,000 for a non-disclosure agreement. She broke that agreement. She thought she was gonna. She went on that tour and she made all that money, all the things.
And she lost the lawsuit. She's got to pay him back.
She is in debt. She's in debt over $600,000 now.
Yeah, she's got to pay him back. So technically, she paid him.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you were.
Yeah,
you were spot on with that, Arlo.
I am. I watched it not once but twice because I really wanted to understand. And not only that, but she's not excluding the part of like what her profession was, do you know that she lost her husband and her child during the filming of this documentary because she couldn't keep her legs closed, and she was like doing it with one of her producers?
Yeah.
Because she was seeking yet more fame. So Stormy Daniels is not a good example of anybody's character.
Yeah. Doctor, what's up, man?
There are some logical fallacies here that, I appreciate all your thought, but
Okay.
When people start relying on some Stormy Daniels documentary, admittedly, I never saw it, but I mean, there's lots more information out there. Many of these things are programs trying to program people,
She
So,
admits it. Go
this
watch
isn't
it.
like
She
absolute
admits
truth.
all of it.
Well, anyway, tell me what we got wrong on it that we're using as a fallacy.
The fallacy is stating that the documentary is truth. I mean, how do you know
No,
this?
brother,
That the documentary contains all truth regarding
It was
this issue.
we're
that
not.
I don't even follow and don't even care about.
No, Doctor, that wasn't it. So this was not our claim at all. I'm up here to talk about the Bible, and
I'm not talking about your claim.
I got you. Hold on,
I'm talking
brother.
about the Heart Lady claim.
Hold on. Hers, and all she did was cite sources. That's what she did. So she talked about the documentary, and then I brought up the thing which backed up exactly what she said. So how is there still a fallacy there? She's right.
She says it out of her own mouth.
I mean, this is not necessarily. We don't have truth here about this whole issue necessarily.
Okay, so let me ask you some. Let me ask you some clarifying. Hold on. Let me ask you some clarifying question because this is frustrating to me. I don't know why we got off on this topic, but my problem is when people make claims and then they don't support them. So here's my question: was Trump? Hold on. Did Trump pay for the act, or did the newspaper pay for the story, and ultimately Trump reimbursed the newspaper for the story for the non-disclosure agreement? Keep it quiet.
Well, I'm sure that I will not know this with any degree of certainty.
Then do not come up
and
here.
It doesn't really matter to me.
Why are you sitting here saying I don't know what I'm talking about?
I know,
when
right.
I've actually researched it.
Thank you. Yeah, come
You've
up
done
here.
No research on it yet. You claim to be right.
Come up here and claim that she's wrong and then provide nothing on that. That's ridiculous, man. Come on, brother. Don't do that on my stage.
It's not at all ridiculous, but what I'm talking about the Antichrist and Antichrist. Who is Antichrist in the Bible?
You were talking about Stormy Daniels. Now you're trying
No,
to
I'm talking about Antichrist.
Yeah. You hold on.
No, you didn't prove anything wrong.
Hold on, Doc. I will.
Silly, you don't even know.
All right, man. Listen.
It's public record.
I keep muting you. I don't want to gang up on you. I don't want to do that. I want you to stay up here and I want to have a conversation with you. But brother, yes, you did. You come up here and you claimed the lady with the hearts, that's Harlow. You claimed that she was factually incorrect, and now you don't have nothing to support that. No disrespect, but let's have a little humility.
I didn't say she was factually incorrect.
Oh.
I said there's assumptions you're making that are unreasonable, and these are flaws.
You said
These
that
are logical
you
flaws.
said that she had a logical fallacy, and then I challenged you on that, and so far you haven't provided any. You just said
it's
nothing.
There's
no assumption. There's no assumption that they're making. There's no assumption that they're making. You're talking about one person's account. It's called a documentary for a reason. This is basically her book, if you will. This is her biography, if you will. This is her telling of this.
Thank you.
Everything she just said is there, and you I don't know. It kind of makes me feel from listening so long that you got Orange Man syndrome or something. I don't know. But
it's real
all
simple.
right there,
I mean,
but it's still only one person's telling of it. It's one person's side of it.
Yeah, it's a thing that she's telling. Whether she believes it to be true or not, we don't know.
But guys,
we don't know whether it's actually true or not.
But yes, but
it's true that she said it.
yes. Wait.
Okay.
We do know some facts, and again, I don't know why we're on this topic. I want to move off of it, but
change the topic.
I will. But
You wanna change the topic
I'm
because
not
you're
gonna.
losing.
I'm not gonna let you.
I'm not losing. I made my
Stop.
point,
For the
man.
love of everything
You
holy.
have no point to make.
Hold on, guys. I'm not just going to let you come up here and then throw a claim out there and then not be supported, because we do know this went to court. This was litigated. She got in trouble for the non-disclosure agreement. So she has to pay Trump back because she broke the non-disclosure agreement.
$600,000.
So there was legal documentation that was filled out on this. So to say that we don't know is factually incorrect. You can't say that she's paying for a made-up story, because this was her claim. She signed the non-disclosure agreement. So we know this. She's got to pay him back. She lost in court.
It's a
We
great
also
topic.
know during the
But
filming of this, she lost her husband and her child because she was more driven by fame and notoriety than she was being a wife and a mother.
All right,
Wait,
brother.
so are we saying it was okay for Trump to cheat on his wife?
No, we're not.
Trump
I'm
was
not.
the one that made the documentary bragging about it.
This is not a guys. This is not a pro-Trump live. He's not the Antichrist because it doesn't fit. But if you make a claim, you're going to have to support it. And just because I'm stating that Trump did or did not do these things is not me taking that he did it. All right, so let's get back on.
Let's,
The Antichrist, brother, but he could be the bringer of the beast.
He could be, but that's not the Antichrist.
Okay.
No, the bringer of the beast is a man.
Yeah, sure, but yeah, that's not my claim. My claim is that he's not the Antichrist.
well, the Antichrist, there are many Antichrists, is what the scripture says. Anyone who does what?
There is, yeah, you're true. That's true. There is a spirit. There is a spirit of the Antichrist, but there is also a physical individual who will become the Antichrist.
Well,
I don't believe he's here yet.
There's a rabbi who stated that Trump was the non-Jewish Messiah, and that is quite equivalent to what you might presume to be Antichrist, in a sense. So I see there's different people that play different roles in all of these events, and Trump is obviously playing a big role, and so is the Pope. And,
Well, I mean,
so let's be at peace.
everybody since Jesus's time thought that they lived in the end days. So it's no different than this generation think that they're living in the end days. We don't know that. Secondly,
That's a good point, but I think there's a lot of signs that are more consistent with it. But yes, we don't.
We kind of do know, though, don't we?
as far as
Well, I mean, there's 29 named mountains in the Bible, the tallest of which is 29,029 feet tall Mount Everest, which mysteriously grew. Nothing around it grew. It's never grew before, and it hasn't grew since. But in 2020, that mountain grew 3 feet. Google that. God's tallest creation grew 3 feet. What is 3 to God? Blessed fulfillment. In 2022, there was an earthquake in the dried riverbed of the river Euphrates that did something leading seismologists had never recorded in human history. The earthquake was 7.2. The first aftershock was 7.5. The second was 7.8. It gained in magnitude. We've had one other earthquake since then off the coast of Alaska. Shit's changing, man. It is changing, and it is changing fast.
right, but I don't see why any of that means that this, the temple hasn't been rebuilt yet. You got to have that for the Antichrist to show up for the
Well,
rapture.
we're kind of on the precipice of seeing that come to fruition.
Could be.
They're working on it very diligently.
Yeah, but that Temple Institute's been working on it for years. So
I don't know. The Capitol's been moved. There's a lot of things coming.
oh, it wasn't you.
It's just
Harlow, I muted you. You can unmute. I hit the wrong button. It wasn't. No, not you. I muted Harlow by mistake. So, but go ahead, brother. My fault.
I got a helicopter going by.
That's what I thought. It was her because she was unmuted, but it wasn't her. So I muted her when it wasn't her. So my fault.
Excuse me, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you, brother.
Oh, okay. Firstly, good morning to everybody.
Good morning.
I wanted to address a claim that you had at the top. I presume you're Christian, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I am too. Just first and foremost, but I wanted to ask. So you're claiming that like evolution is false, correct?
Yeah, I believe in now that I got you in here, let me make sure that I rephrase that right, because I do believe evolution is false. I do believe in micro. I do not believe in macro.
Can you explain, like, define macroevolution, what that means to you?
Yeah, genetic information gain would be the ultimate definition, the base definition, but simplified, it would be different kinds, right?
Wait, can you explain that one more time? You kind of cut out on mine, my bad.
Yeah, no problem. So at the simplest definition, it would have to be genetic information gain. If I was oversimplifying that, then I would say different kinds of animals. That would be macro.
So it can be said that you essentially, like, the general theory of evolution, right? You don't believe in that, right?
Right.
And can I ask why?
There's no evidence for it. I see evidence for changes within species, right? I see mutations. I see all of this within microevolution, but none of that has ever gotten us to macroevolution. And for that to be true, it would have to.
So how do you suppose different species have come about? Like, when we look at fossils, right? We look at the fossils, like, we look at older fossils that come from less advanced sort of species, and then we see, like, newer fossils of more advanced DNA containing species. So how do you suppose they came about over the span of, like, billions of years?
Sure, you said a lot of things there we have to take in. So one, you're using fossils. And I would encourage you, whenever you hear this evidence about fossils, you have to look intellectually about what they're doing. Fossils are shapes and assumptions, man. That's all there are. You would have to prove that fossil had children and had children that lived to use it in evidence for evolution. And you can't do that. I could claim that was the end of that animal's lineage and it didn't have any children that survived. You couldn't disprove that. So you couldn't use fossils as evidence for evolution. And they want to use fossils for evidence for evolution because they literally just line them up by shape. They say, look at this shape. It looks like this shape. So therefore it come from the less primitive earlier one. That's not true at all. You're just assuming that based on the shapes of the fossils.
Okay, so let's assume you're correct, right? So biblically, I would ask you this. Biblically, how did these, like, different shapes that didn't have children, right? How did they come about biblically?
How they got there was through the flood. And again, I believe in microevolution. So you might get many different species of rabbit from a rabbit, but it's always going to be a rabbit, right? Like dogs. I like dogs. You can get many different species of dogs. You can get a coyote. You can get a Chihuahua. You can get a Maltese. You can get many different species of dog, but they're all dogs, right?
Now, I see what you're trying to say, but that's actually not really true, because when we have, like, a dog breed, right, we don't see that dog breed, even over the span of, like, 100 years without human input and human genetic modification, we don't see that dog breed turn into other dog breeds, right? Most of the dog breeds we've seen that have stayed, like, consistent, it's been, like, pretty consistent, regardless of genetic mutation, right? So it's like, that what you're trying to say is, like, one species can, like, drive a multitude of different species, but that's just not true on a micro scale. That's like a macro
brother,
scale.
That like what you just said is factually inaccurate, man. We can see this in the wild, like lions and tigers, right? Harlow, I think you do got a lot of background noise now, bro. Yeah, you got a lot of background noise now. We do see this, brother, in, like, lions and tigers, for example. Lions and tigers can both still breed, right? So they're from the original same kind. They're cat kind, right? So yeah, what you just said is factually inaccurate.
Yeah. So what I'd ask you is, like, over how many years did that happen, though? That didn't happen over a micro scale of time. That happened over a long period of time, right?
Why?
So that's what I would ask.
What makes
and the fact that they can still breed, that they came from the same like, original, like, species, the same ancestors, that actually doesn't disprove evolution at all. That actually proves evolution, and that they came from the same species. Original.
No, it's all right. So let's go this way. So it wouldn't need a lot of time. You're making that claim, but we don't see that.
So I'll ask you. So you're saying it wouldn't need a lot of time, right? Mm-hmm. So we're seeing fossils that prove that it didn't. Okay, let's say it didn't prove, right? Let's just say it demonstrated an instance where it took a lot of time, and you're saying that it doesn't need a lot of time. I'd ask you for proof that it doesn't need a lot of time, that you can see in, like, let's say a span of, like, 100 years. Right?
I've given
that one species.
I've given it to you,
into a whole different species.
Brother. I don't believe that they evolve into different kinds. So it depends on how we're defining the word species. right? So I wouldn't provide that evidence for you because I don't believe that. So there'd be no reason for me to, why would I provide that to you when I don't believe it, right? So, but I gave you an example of dogs, right? You can get, all of the dogs in the world come from the wolf kind of animal. That's microevolution. It's not macro. They're still dogs. They're still the same kind of animal. We just took traits that already existed and we encouraged those traits. And you can get a huge variety out of all of the different traits that you either encourage or discourage, but there's no new information there.
So I see what you're trying to, I see the path you're trying to go down, but that doesn't really address the situation of when we see these like older fossils, we don't see humans billions of years ago. We see these certain fossils and how they changed over, how the shape, let's say
You don't,
shape, right?
again,
We
you're
see how the
going,
shape changed over time.
brother, again, you're going shapes and assumptions, right?
They're
And
not really assumptions when you can like,
no,
you can like,
they're 100% assumptions. You see these shapes and you're doing it right now. These two things look alike, so therefore they had to come together. I need something other than an assumption. So let's back all the way up because I like to use bacteria, right? So let me give you the base definition of macroevolution that would have to be true in an effort for it to be true, right? So let's say genetic information gain. It has to be genetic because you got to be able to pass it on to your children. It has to be new information as far as new structures, new code, new function, new DNA. And then it has to be gained from something that it wasn't there before. And you and I would agree that if you went from a single-celled organism to a fully functional human, that there was information gained there. There was genetic information gained. So all I need for that to be true is give me an example of that that's not inferred. Give me an example that I can test and observe. One of the things that I like to use is bacteria because it takes the millions and millions of years away from you guys, and we can see it in real time.
wait, can you repeat like the last two sentences of what you said? So you said prove to you something about an inference. Can you say that again?
Yeah, is my TikTok going out again? Because we had problems earlier with it skipping.
No, I think it's mine. But
Okay.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, sir. So genetic information gain is what I would have to see. Genetic because it gets passed on generation to generation. Information as far as new codes, new structures, new function, new DNA, and it has to be gained from something that wasn't there before. I like to use bacteria because they can have up to 9 generations in a single day, and this takes away your millions of years. So why is it that long ago and far away information gain happened a lot all the time, literally quadrillions of time, but just today when we test and observe, all we see is degradation or changes within the same kind. We don't see information gain.
So I'm kind of confused on how you're using the bacteria and the evolution of bacteria within a single day to disprove the sort of evolution over millions of years. Because if it can happen in one day, what are you trying to like?
Evolution is not based. This is the problem. People, they think of time. Evolution is not time based. It's generation based. It wouldn't matter how much time, or it could, if we sped the clock up and humans could have children, they could have 2 children every day. If humans could have 2 children every day, then obviously the evolution would speed up a lot. It's not based off of time. It's based off of generational count because you have to pass that information on.
Right, but when we talk about time and evolution, we use it sort of to talk about the generations as time has passed.
That's my point. So we can use bacteria because bacteria have 9 generations in a single day. We can see millions of years in like 30 years worth of breeding bacteria. We've done this. It's called the Linsky experiment. We've done 1 to 2 million years worth of what would be in human evolution, millions of years. We've done that in bacteria. So why is it on a bacterium that we should be able to see evolution extremely fast? These are smaller creatures, so you should be able to see it extremely fast. When it happens, you'll be like, okay, here it is, clearly. Why is it that when we test and observe it, we always get degradation, but long ago and far away, we got information gain?
Degradation. Can you define degradation for me?
Sure. Losing information. Like, for example, are you familiar with bacteria becoming resistant to antibiotics?
Yes, it is.
All right. So most people would say that's evolution, but it's not evolving, it's devolving. The receptors that the antibiotic attaches to on the bacterium has devolved. They've lost it. So think of it like this, a thought experiment. The bacteria, think of them having arms, right? They're normal bacteria. They walk around, they do their bacteria thing. The antibiotics are handcuffs. They come in, they handcuff the back. Hold on, brother. Let me get through this. Hold on, brother. Let me get through the scenario. Okay.
No. I understand what you're saying. It's just there's a problem and there's a disconnect in one thing. So when you talk about devolving, like I don't know if we can define evolution in like just like our like sort of societal construct of what is evolution and what is positive growth, right? Because when we talk about evolution, we're talking like if we're talking about Darwin sort of evolution, we're talking about the change and the development of a species and their traits, right? So it's not necessarily something that's like inherently positive or negative from our lens. It's actually something that just like a change of traits, right?
No, brother,
so
I get.
the fact that traits can change.
I get
as
that.
a result of like
brother,
the influence of
brother,
environment
take it,
is a sort of
brother. I get you. I'm sorry. I get you. I know. I talk to evolutionists every day on this. I get it. They want to fight you tooth and nail to keep degradation. But brother, we have to be intellectually honest. You cannot keep claiming that degradation is part of evolution. It can't be. You can't say that we went from a single-celled organism to a fully functional human by losing all of our information.
By losing, so you keep saying by losing information. So you're trying to like say like information hasn't been gained from evolution, right?
I want to see an example of that, because you and I would both agree, you would have to, that if we went from a single-celled organism to a fully functional human, there was genetic information gained there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I just need an example of that. Do not give me an example of losing information and then claiming that that's evolution. It can't be. We cannot go from a single-celled organism to a fully functional human by losing information. Don't give me an example of bacteria losing their receptors so antibiotics can't attach to it, so therefore it's evolving. Hold on 1 second, guys. 1 second. We got to say a good day, too. You got the floor, brother.
Oh, me?
Nope, my other guy. He's going to say good day. Well, maybe he's not. All right. I'm sorry. Two, go ahead.
Oh, me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So you're asking like when evolution has like sort of like provided new information in genetic code.
Yep.
So I would ask you again, sort of like when we see the development of like these shapes, and you keep saying these shapes are assumptions, I'd like to ask, how are shapes assumptions when you can see a clear correlation and a clear pattern between these shapes, right?
Sure.
How is that an assumption?
All right, give me an example of something.
Let's just say like we see like a plant, right? And a plant fossil, and we see the development of the plant fossil over millions of years, and we see it evolve into something that we might have, in the modern day. Is it a
How do you have a plant fossil? When you see this fossil that you're looking at, this plant fossil, how do you see it development? All you have is a fossil. How do you see development in that? All you have is a fossil.
Because we can compare and contrast the fossils of the next generation.
How do you know that that's the next generation of that item? How do you know it's the next generation?
I mean, it had to come from something, right? So if it didn't come from that,
that's not, brother. That is not an answer. It had to come from something is not an answer. I'm showing you literally how this is shapes and assumptions. Do you see it yet, or should we keep going?
Let me ask you a question. So do you believe in the sort of like 3,000?
Hold on, brother, man. We are jumping all over the place. I want to stick on one topic at a time, and I want to take a bite out of this apple a little bit at a time. Do you see how you're just using shapes and assumptions? You're assuming that this come from that. Do you see that?
Okay, so assuming that you're right about assumptions, I'll be honest, I'll be brutally, admittedly, I'm not too, like I said, I'm a Christian man. I'm not too familiar with the evolutionist argument because I've just come to terms with, accepting evolution as real. But, assuming that...
Why in the world would you...
I would ask you then, in science and in mathematics, we always base, a bunch of, important sort of arguments. We base all of these on assumptions. In mathematics, they're called axioms, right? These are like fundamental assumptions that we base all of mathematics on. So what would you say to somebody who bases, let's say, all of mathematics on an axiom, on an assumption? What would you say to them? Are they incorrect in doing so?
No. I like to see to like predictions, not necessarily assumptions. In science, you make predictions. And then if you're
An axiom is not a prediction.
I know, but an assumption could be a prediction. An assumption could be a prediction, right? Like when you come up with a theory, your theory is going to make predictions, and then you test those predictions. And if it's true, then you move on with your theory. So for example, I have the theory of gravity, right? Everything dropped no matter where I'm standing at on the center of the earth is going to fall, or no matter where I'm standing at on the earth, whatever I drop is going to fall towards the center of the earth at the same rate, as long as there's no outside factors. So I have an experiment. I have this little ball in my hand. If I drop it, then it goes towards the center of the earth. That was my prediction, is that if I drop it, it's going to fall. Well, I predicted it. I come up with a test. My test was true, so I get to move on. Evolution's not like that. So science makes predictions, and people, there's nothing wrong with educated assumptions. And some evolutionary biologists' predictions or assumptions might have a good assumption behind it and still be faulty. But the fossils are not. You're just using shapes and assumptions.
So I don't see how you make that distinction between like a good assumption and fossils being a bad assumption. To me, it feels like you're making this like assumption and you're turning it to,
if your prediction
into something bad.
If it's good, I got you, brother. If it's good or bad is if your prediction comes true, right? You should be able to make some predictions. I can make several predictions based off of the flood model, right? And I don't, it's predictions, but it fits. Right, with evolution, it doesn't fit.
It does fit though. It does fit.
Okay.
And I'll be brutally honest with you. I'm not an expert, but countless and almost every expert. I won't say every because how can I prove every?
That's
but
not true at all.
99% of the experts in the field of archaeology, paleontology, anthropology, they all agree and concord with evolution and that it does fit the model. So I'll be respectable. And I'll ask you sincerely, why do you think that these experts having this opinion and you having a different opinion, why do you think that your opinion,
all right, so hold on, brother. I got you. You're going really fast. And the problem that you have there is it's a logical fallacy of proof. It's an argument from majority or an argument from authority. So neither one of those, it wouldn't matter. If all the scientists in the world at one point believed the earth was flat and they were the smartest people at the time, did that make it true?
No, the difference is that one.
No, hold on. I'm just telling you that what you have and what you just did is an argument from authority or an argument from majority. Now, argument from authority is not always a fallacy. Sometimes you can say, well, here's the individual in this field and here's their research. This is what they've done. They're the authority on this. That you haven't done that. You're just saying a lot of really smart people believe this. How would I get around this? So I'm telling you, I'll answer that question, but it's not true to say that all of them agree with that. It's not even true to say that a majority of them agree with that. No, it's not. No, it's not true. So well, see, now we're stuck on yes and no, and I haven't got to finish it. So I'm just going to keep going until I actually do finish it, because it depends on which field you're actually talking about. If you're in an evolutionary biology field or an evolution field, then naturally they're going to agree with it because that's the field they're in. They're not going to come up with evidence that disproves that. But that's not the field of science. That's not all the field of science. And I'll give you a real quick example. They knew without a shadow of a doubt, and evolution predicts that dinosaur soft tissue cannot last 65 million years. And if you found evidence in the face of that, you would have to explain why. So I would ask you now, why do they find soft tissue in dinosaur bones when we know the decay rates will not allow soft tissue in dinosaur bones to last 65 million years?
So I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to go back to something you said, but I'm going to address what you just said right now. Because I'll be honest with you, anything regarding like evolution and like archaeology and all this stuff, I'm not familiar. So I don't want to answer. I don't want to give you misinformation, right? But let me go back to something that you said. You said this like majority versus like authority type of argument. Or logical fallacy, my bad, is what you said that I was making. Yep. But when we talk about the interpretations of evidence and, these like archaeologists sort of like findings and the interpretations of that, and you're doing like your best job at interpreting something and how it might coincide with past evidence and with reasoning that we've all come about. And that's your interpretation, but that's like different from like an expert's interpretation and multiple experts' interpretations. That's what I'm saying. I'm not just saying,
do you have an example you'd like to talk about, brother? Because this argument from majority or authority is that's all we got so far. So do you have some? Like I gave an example. I gave an example of soft tissue and dinosaur bones, and I can show you that. I can pull it up on YouTube right now and show you that they're finding soft tissue and dinosaur bones, and that goes against the experts. But that you're citing, it goes against what they believe. So
okay, so I'll pose you a question then. So I'm sure you know about carbon dating, right?
Yeah.
So older fossils, we can carbon date fossils and all these different sort of like findings to like millions and billions even of years, right? So how do you explain let's say like the biblical model of 3,000 years with that?
Sure. So you said some things there that prove my model. You said carbon. I think you just mean radiometric because carbon doesn't go back millions and billions. The half-life is 5,000 on carbon.
Carbon doesn't go back millions and millions.
No, you shouldn't even have any measurable carbon-14 after 50,000. The half-life is 5,000 if I'm not mistaken. And then it goes from
Wait, what? What'd you say?
The reason they date that is because
radiometric dating, you have like lead-208 or uranium, that goes back billions. You said carbon. Carbon dating does not go back millions or billions. It only goes back to about 50,000. You shouldn't find any measurable carbon-14 in anything past 50,000 years.
Yeah, they use carbon. The carbon half-life is about 5,000 years. The reason they say 50 is because they have a mass collective of carbon, so they say it's about that because of the quantity.
They say that you shouldn't measure it because it goes from a half to a fourth to an eighth to a 16th to a 32nd, and then eventually it goes to where it never technically goes to zero, but it goes so small that you can't measure it, and so after 50,000 years you shouldn't be able to measure it.
Oh, okay, I understand what you're saying. Yeah,
all right, so that
radioisometric dating.
Yeah, so radiometric dating, and here's the thing about that, it also proves a young Earth. It just depends on which metric you're using. So, for example, they're finding carbon-14 in dinosaur bones. Dinosaur bones are supposed to be 65 million years old. It shouldn't have any measurable carbon-14 in it. How are they still finding in it? They find carbon-14 in diamonds. Diamonds are supposed to be billions and the hardest known substance, so you shouldn't be able to leach any carbon into it. But yet we're finding carbon-14 in diamonds. So that would also prove it.
Question with that statement. Aren't they finding diamonds in the lab, carbon-14 in the lab-grown diamonds as well?
They probably would in the lab grown ones, but we'd expect that because they're new. They're being grown right there. So naturally you would find it there because it was created then. You wouldn't find it in something that's supposed to be created a billion years ago.
So I ask you
I got you.
Of, the functionality of this conversation. I don't want to make you go get evidence or anything, but where did you get the information that they're getting carbon-14 in these dinosaur fossils?
Sure, you can just Google it, brother. I can take you there. I can bring it up on screen if you want me to. I have to turn my camera around, but yeah, you can Google it. Mary Schweitzer is the scientist that found the soft tissue, and 60 Minutes done an interview with her. You can go watch that interview on YouTube.
And then we'd have to ask you, how do you define dinosaur, right? Because obviously a dinosaur who was how do you define dinosaur? I'd ask you that.
The same way that scientists just dinosaur. I don't know. What do you mean? Like terrible lizard?
Do you have kids?
Yeah, that doesn't matter. So, what do you mean? Like I have to redefine dinosaur?
Because you can make some people can make the argument that birds are a relative of the dinosaurs. So it depends on how you define dinosaur and if you
but I don't do the whole changing definition thing where now we just change definitions so birds are dinosaurs. That's not how that works. So yeah.
No. Excuse me. There's no such thing as changing definition. We're defining a term. That's
not necessarily you, but they do that. People will come in here and say that birds are dinosaurs, so therefore they didn't evolve. Because I'll ask them, do you believe that dinosaurs evolved into birds? And they'll say that dinosaurs are birds, and that's not true at all. So not necessarily that you're doing that. But anyway, I don't want to rabbit trail off on another subject. But they're finding.
Do you just deny science altogether?
What? Have you?
No, we don't deny science.
Do you
deny scientific consensus?
It just depends, brother. Do you have a topic or something? Because that's just like a broad statement.
I'm trying to gauge like what you actually.
Well, then
believe
why
in
don't you
or
just
not believe in.
don't ask me some broad statement like that. Ask me something that I can go to.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So like I'm under the impression again, like I'm a Christian man too, and I used to not necessarily accept evolution, but I'm under the impression that like the young man or the man said over there, like it seems like you're rejecting like scientific consensus on matters that oppose the biblical or your interpretation of the Bible.
It's
it's
not my interpretation. And hold on a second, because it's getting to the point where it's starting to annoy me a little bit. If somebody has some evidences that's what I like to do. So far in this conversation, I'm really the only one that's bringing up anything. Everybody else is doing an argument from authority. If you want to do an argument from authority, then go to somebody else's page. I don't have time for that. I don't care if everybody in the world believes it doesn't make it true. That's an argument from majority. If the smartest people in the world believe it, it doesn't make it true. We can talk about it and have a conversation. But if the conversation is just going to the really smart people believe this, then go have that conversation with somebody else, guys. I'm not interested in it, and it's not moving forward.
But you're using evidence from these sort of like scholars, and you're saying, so why are you bring up the video of the dinosaur tissue, please?
Yeah.
And okay, while you're doing that, I like to bring up a good point too, because like you're talking about these arguments from like authority, right? Why are you using evidence from scholars if that's not something that we do?
I told you earlier, brother, and this is why now I'm repeating myself probably for the third time. An argument from authority is a good argument if you're using a specific authority and not an overarching narrative. If you're saying, here's a scientist, Harlow's a scientist. Here's what Harlow says. She's done the biology. This is what she says about this subject. What say you? That's fine. That is a perfect, legitimate argument from authority. That's allowable. None of you are doing that.
I mean, genuinely speaking, I feel like the scientific consensus being evolution makes it kind of redundant for me to like pick out one from the overwhelming amount of scientists who concord and agree with evolution.
But to
pick out one and cite it for you, I feel like that's kind of redundant. Like I could pick out
A
one
lot of us people believe in microevolution, but not macroevolution. That's not that far off.
I'd ask you why you don't believe in it, because of the fact that depending on your
I'll answer your
interpretation
question. Stop. Okay, stop. I've been listening to you babble for 30 seconds, and I'm trying to give you an answer. But by all means, let's waste
It's like the tower, right? The Tower of Babel.
All right. I'll turn this around here so you guys can see it here. Let me flip it around here. All right. This is the 60 Minutes interview done with Mary Schweitzer. I'm not going to play the entire thing. You're free to go look at it yourself. Now, I want you guys to notice right here, this was done 15 years ago. This is nothing new to science. Now, when you just type this into Google right here, most of the things that you'll pop up, if you don't type in, obviously, the 60 Minutes interview, you just type in dinosaur soft tissue. And the most of it that comes up is going to be creation scientists now. Mary Schweitzer.
So let me ask you something real quick. So that same scientist, she accepts standard geological timescales of millions of years.
That is my point. That's my point. Yes, I understand. Mary Schweitzer is not a creationist. She doesn't believe in creation. I get that. I don't care what Mary Schweitzer believes, because she believes the exact opposite of what she found does not break my heart any at all. I don't care what she believes. I care about what she found. She can believe whatever she wants to, but the evidence is the evidence. And when she first come out with this, they almost fired her. You can hear her documentary on that about how they almost fired her on this because they called her everything but a child of God because they said she's clearly lying about it. And so she did what a good scientist should do. She said, here's what I did. See if you can replicate it. And guess what, brother? They can replicate it. So I don't care that a really smart person believes. I don't care about their belief. I care about the science. And the science shows that you are finding soft tissue in dinosaur bones. This is testable and it's repeatable and it spits in the face of 65 million years.
Right. So there's a lot of. Hold on one second, because I'm looking all this stuff up and I'm researching what this tissue was, quote unquote tissue. These are just intact proteins that were preserved by the mineral encasement. And the last statement that you just made, where she was almost fired, she was never almost fired. In the scientific community, you always have pushback. You always have them questioning the methods and procedures and what exactly was being examined. But she was never almost fired.
I'm pretty sure she did. And so let me make sure I clarify it because I don't want to speak out of order either. I'm pretty sure she'd done an interview. I do reserve the right to be wrong on this one. And if I am wrong, then I do apologize. I'm pretty sure she'd done an interview where she said that she was almost fired. If I'm wrong about that, then I'll eat the relevant amount of crow. But I'm pretty sure she'd done an interview. It's been 15 years since I've watched all of it.
It's not irrelevant because it does try to buttress your argument that she was an outsider, like proving the scientific community wrong.
But she
was adding a
has
data point to the scientific studies.
But
And this is not fresh tissue. This is not tissue in the same way that you look at your arm or your finger tissue.
Brother.
These are just intact proteins that can be manipulated in the way that you show in the microscope.
I got it. I get it. It can't last 65 million years. However you want. No, it can't.
It's been demonstrated.
No, you can't demonstrate that something can last 65 million years in 100 years, Einstein. How did they demonstrate that?
Okay, so obviously you didn't read.
I have read, and this is what they say. They say that the iron in the blood and the fact that it's encased in rock and the iron in the blood is what is the preserving agent that does it. And really smart people tell you that, so you go, oh, okay, that must be true just because really smart people tell me. That's their hypothesis. That's not proven. That can't be proven. And the reason why we know it's not proven is because we know the decay rates of things. You can place an object in full formaldehyde, a full preserving agent, and it still decays. It still decays.
So it sounds
and
like
it's not, hold on, brother, for the love of everything holy. It's not going to last 65 million years just because they tell you it did. I need proof. And we can test the decay rates of things in full formaldehyde. But you want to tell me long ago, far away in a rock, it preserved soft organic material?
No,
possible.
No. See, that's where you're wrong. At that last bit that you just said, this is not just soft organic material.
Yes, it is.
This is flexible vessel-like structures, collagen protein fragments that were encased.
Collagen fragments, which is also defined as organic material. And it's soft because you can stretch it out. Nothing I said there is false, brother.
It's not raw flesh.
I never said that. Do not straw man me that way. I never claimed that it was raw flesh.
What is the definition of soft tissue then?
Okay, and that's why I just redefined it, because that's what they said. I used the language that they said. So if you want, then I changed it to soft organic material, which we could argue if that's tissue or not. I'm not going to get into a semantic argument. It is soft organic material. I never claimed it was flesh.
I think the decay, that's pretty interesting. I actually didn't know about that. Thanks for showing the actual video. I actually didn't know about this. It's actually interesting.
Most people don't.
Like, things surviving 65 million years is kind of hard to believe, especially if it's not like I guess encased in ice or something, right?
It still decays. Even if you freeze it, it decays. There's no preserving method that's known. And the reason why you didn't know about this, and the reason why this video is 15 years old, and like I said, the most people that are doing this science now are creationists. Creationist scientists are doing this now instead of. So if you pull up a video on this, more than likely the videos you're going to find now are from creationists. And the reason why creation.
I like to bring up something called confirmation bias, right?
Yeah, thank you, bro. Appreciate you. So the reason I've had enough of you interrupting me. So the reason why most of these videos are going to be from creationists is because they're the ones that's picked up the science because it fits us now. So evolutionists have come along, even like Mary Schweitzer. She's the one that found it, but she still don't believe like we believe. She's like, oh, it's still 65 million years old. I don't care what you say. Nana, nana, boo, boo. It's still 65 million years old. Iron does it. And they just tell you this, but they don't back it up.
So it says
If I may, because I wasn't allowed to finish earlier.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've been trying to, so soft tissue is literally defined as anything that's not bone. That's your basic definition of it. But moving forward, when it talks about the micro versus macro evolution, and they say we all came from apes, well, then why do we have apes today?
Yeah.
But these are different evolutionary branches. We all share a common ancestor that goes back a long freaking time.
And we
I
need,
feel like, I have a red fluid in my body, the same thing as my cat Noah does. Are Noah and I related?
We share a common ancestor that goes back even further.
That's
That's
what
only a theory.
that's what we just need.
Noah has great hair. Noah, did you get your hair from me? Because I think you probably got it from your own parents.
First of all, sure. Okay, so the theory that we all share a common ancestor, I'm not too sure about it. I also believe in microevolution. I don't believe in macroevolution. There's very little evidence that one species can transform into another species, where that specifically you can have. Yeah, so I don't believe in macroevolution. I believe microevolution though.
Yeah.
Microevolution happened when my husband and I had a child, and we had a son, and we had a daughter, and that is microevolution. Guess what? They look a little bit like me and a little bit like him. That is microevolution. Now, 100 years from now, there's no telling what their offspring are going to look like, because they're going to continue to mate with other humans, or at least I hope that that's what they do. And just as we've had conversations before, we're seeing the retinaculums in the wrist change. We're seeing the quadricep change. We're seeing the appendix is getting smaller and smaller. The body, the human body, is continuing to micro evolution every single day. We're working towards a better component of living in our environment every day. That's not macro, that's micro, because you're doing a little bit at a time.
What is macro evolution to you?
That's a big one. That just means that my cat turned into a dog.
No, now you're just describing Animorphs of the series, the book series.
It's but you still want me to believe that we all came from apes, and then my argument to you is, and then why do we still have apes?
We are apes. We are.
Well, then go on out there to the Congo and see how long you survive if you're an ape. Carry on. I will pay for the
You're just
ticket.
making jokes. You're not.
It's not a joke. If you're an ape, go on out there to the Congo and make friends with Tarzan's cousins.
Now, what you did there, Far, the reason why I'm laughing is because what you did there was you just defined something in an effort to get a win. We are apes, so therefore we come from apes. That's not evidence. You're making a claim, and then you're changing the definition in an effort to support your claim, right? The claim is that we come from apes, and then you just change the definition. We are apes, so therefore I win the argument and never have to show any proof just by changing the definition. This is what I said earlier.
Changing the definition. We are part of.
No, you are.
The scientific branch.
I got you, brother. If you can't see that, we can't have a conversation.
We share the same common evolutionary branch called Hominidae.
Okay,
which is the great apes.
I need
This
evidence.
includes chimpanzees,
I need evidence.
bonobos,
I need
gorillas,
evidence. I need
orangutans,
evidence.
and
I need evidence. I need evidence. I need evidence. I don't need claims anymore. We got past the claims. I need evidence. I'm the only one bringing it.
Years ago, we shared a common ancestor, and there's DNA evidence showing that we have 98 to 99% similar DNA.
Sure. Why wouldn't that?
We share genetic errors, mutations in the same spot, strongly imply inheritance from a common ancestor.
No,
we
that's
also have 23 chromosome pairs. Chimps have 24.
Guy.
Chromosome 2 is a fusion.
Nope. What we're not going to do is just throw out a bunch of stuff and then just randomly
So now you're just
Nope.
silencing
Nope.
the evidence.
I know, because what I like to
You're
do is,
silencing the
yep,
evidence.
I'm
Why
going
are you
to,
doing
if I have to mute you, or if I have to kick you, I will. I promise you. Because what you're not going to do is throw out 50 things that stick to the wall. If you've been in here anytime whatsoever, we're going to take this one bite at a time. Okay. One bite at a time. So you mentioned so much stuff there that I can't respond to because you're wanting to run through it. And you're clearly reading it off of Google because you even read it wrong. Okay. So some of the things that you're talking about is the ERVs, right? Endogenous retroviruses. And then you said that the way you said we share same mutations. what? You got that wrong. You meant to say endogenous retroviruses. So that's why we're going to take this one bite at a time so that we can address one at a time without you reading off of Google all of these different things. So which one would you like to address first, one at a time? And I promise you we can address it.
Okay, let's hear you deny the fact that we have 98 to 99% similar DNA as chimps.
Absolutely. So DNA is a building block, right? It tells your body how to build your structures. Agree? Most people refer to it as a building block or a code, right? So why would that not be common designer? Why would that not be common design? God uses this code clearly to build structures. Why wouldn't our DNA be similar in an ape that has 5 fingers, a nose, 2 eyes, a mouth, and ears? Why would our DNA not be similar if the same designer, we're building the same structure? So I would expect our DNA to look very similar.
The closer that we
If I may interject, because you're like so stuck on like ape DNA, do you know that our DNA is 90% similar to our cats?
So the closer we look phenotypically towards another animal, the closer our DNA is to that animal. Because we share similar phenotypical attributes.
Most evolutionists have got, it's not 98 anymore. I think it's like 80, but they haven't updated it yet. So a lot of people just Google this. No, it's not false. Most people just Google this. It's not false.
Here on Duke University website that we have 90% similarities in DNA with our feline friends. So should we start claiming to be cats?
But 90% is a massive difference between, we still share a common ancestor, but it goes back even further.
Okay,
We're more
all right.
closely related to apes.
I've answered your question that it is common design. We build the same structures. So so that's common design, not common ancestry.
Wait, you're just fulfilling your God of the gaps theory that just because we have similar DNA, it must be because of God.
Okay, and you're doing, hold on. You're doing the same thing. Your God of the gaps is time. Anytime we can't test and observe it, you just sprinkle millions and billions of years, and then that fixes the problem.
No, it just bolsters the argument that we do share a common lineage.
Okay, then that bolsters my argument that it's common design. That bolsters my argument it's common design.
So if DNA functions like similarly, and it's just like, how the DNA is arranged that dictate what a person looks like, right? Then if we have similar phenotypical attributes towards like animals, why isn't it that we share similar DNA? What would not track within that logic?
We would share similar DNA.
That's what I'm wondering. Like this idea that but this doesn't necessarily mean that we have that we share common ancestry. It just means that so we have DNA and it functions a certain way, right? If it's built a certain way, you look a certain way. So if we have similar phenotypical attributes to an animal, right? Then it should by proxy mean that their DNA building block is similar to ours.
Yep. And that's
it does not mean
common design
specifically that we share common ancestry.
All right, so I've done your DNA on common design.
We do share common ancestry. We're all made of the same stuff. We even share 50 to 60% of the same DNA as a banana.
That doesn't make us bananas.
Okay, listen.
What it shows is that we're made of the same stuff.
I got you. Listen.
So now you're pivoting when you got proved wrong because we share 85 to 90% the same DNA sequences as my really nice horses that I have in the barn. Are we horses? No, we're not. So like when you lose one argument, you come back with another one that makes just as little sense as the one
it may seem like that to you. I'm sorry.
Fire.
I don't know what your name is.
Okay, listen.
It may seem like that's my argument, but that is not the argument whatsoever.
Okay, I
say something real quick. We are a different type of animal. We are a part of the same tree, the evolutionary tree.
I got it. I got it. I've got it. I'm starting to mute people. Listen, everybody, I'm starting to mute not just one person. I'm muting several people. Okay. I got it. I don't want to keep going over the same thing. We've already done that. We've done the DNA thing. We get it. I'm going to go common descent. Or you're going to go common descent. I'm going to go common design. Can't get it out. I'm going to go common design. So we're stuck right here. You're not going to agree with us. We're not going to agree with you. So do you have another one that you would like to go with? I think that God created the DNA code and it's in everything. So that I don't think that's a problem. So do you have another one?
This is just a conscious choice that you're making, that you just want to view things in
I
terms
can
of
say the
creation.
same thing about you. Do you have another one you would like to go over?
Host, can I just make one statement real quick?
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yep.
All right. So, like, if we know that we exist in an ecosystem, like let's say the Earth is like some sort of ecosystem, right? And it only has a set amount of different elements in it, right? And those elements are what makes up everything on the Earth. And of course, if we all exist in this ecosystem, right, then we'll all be made up of similar stuff. This idea that, oh, just because we're all made up of similar stuff equals common ancestry, there's no link to this. It just means that we all exist in this ecosystem. Everything is made up of this stuff in this ecosystem. You wouldn't expect to find things that aren't on Earth and in the DNA of random animals on Earth.
Okay,
right? So I don't understand like why that matters.
I got you. So listen, you've asked me several questions, Farside, and so let me change the subject up a little bit. Still on it, but let me change it up a little bit. So I always like to bring up genetic information gain. Have you heard me talk about that yet?
No.
Okay. So if we went from a single-celled organism to a fully functional human, you would agree that there has to be genetic information gained there. Let me clearly define that. Genetic, because you got to be able to pass it on to your children. Information as far as new structures, new code, new function, new DNA, and it has to be gained from something when it wasn't there before, clearly. And you and I think we would agree that if we went from a single-celled organism to a fully functional human, genetic information gain took place. So can you give me an example of that that's testable and observable that's not inferred in the history of evolution?
That's a great question. I don't have a fully fleshed out, pun intended, answer to that just yet, but I'll work on one for you.
That's fair enough. And my contentions will be is that while you're looking on that, don't give me an example of micro, right? Don't give me an example of existing information. Give me an example of, I need new. And then don't give me an example of degradation. I always like to use bacteria because bacteria takes the time pacifier away from the evolutionist because you can have 9 generations in a single day. So why is it that in bacteria we always see degradation? Why do we never see information gain?
Okay, so is it your argument that no new information was gained in our DNA structures over time?
I need something that I can test and observe that's not inferred. If you infer it and say, well, we went from monkey to man, so therefore it happened, that's inference. You're inferring that. I can't test and observe that. I need something that I can.
Well, I'm just trying to figure
objectively
out
look.
what you're saying. You're saying that like from a single-celled organism, no new information was gained or replicated or duplicated, copied, whatever you.
I'm saying that my claim is that God made everything as the whatever original kind, right? Now there's microevolution within those same kinds, like cats. You can get several different varieties of cats, but they're all cats. So God made the original kinds, and you can get microevolution out of those, but there's no new information added. Every original kind had its information, and you can rearrange that information. You can duplicate that information, but you can't add new information into it. For example, we can take a wolf kind of animal and breed it down to a Chihuahua. That's testable and observable. That's not information. That's the information that already existed, the traits that already existed, and you're encouraging or discouraging some of those traits, right?
So you deny the function of genes being able to duplicate, modify, and copy into a new function? Do you deny that as a fact?
Depends on what you mean by new function. I do believe that you have copying. There's of course that's information that already existed. It's not new information. It's copied information.
Well, we know cells mutate. We know that genetics mutate. We know that new protein variants get created and copied, and the functions of those proteins change.
I don't know about that. You got any examples of that?
Yeah, I mean, we see it with viruses. We can see it in real time on a microevolutionary scale.
Yeah, and viruses degrade. They're not doing it through information gain. They're literally losing information.
What it's demonstrating is that you can see it in real time. When you're talking about over millennia, it happens much slower and sometimes in bursts. And this has been demonstrated through the the fossil record, as well as the anthropological record.
So the fossil record, no, that's shapes and assumptions. I need something that's not shapes and assumptions. I need proof. No, it is. Evidence. No, it's not. You're taking two bones that look like each other, and you say this one is more primitive and this one is higher up, so this one come from that one. It's literally all you're doing.
You see very rapid changes even in like amphibians who have like a major environmental change where you see like a huge drop in population, but then you see a later on bigger explosion in population, but there is a mutation variant that is successful in that new environment.
Like what?
That is something that you can see in like 10, 20 years.
I
and
need-
they've demonstrated that.
Sure. Like, what do you got? Give me the evidence. What are you talking about?
This goes back to my high school days when I was subscribed to the science magazines. Let's see, right here.
I've heard of the peppered moth things. I've never heard of no amphibian one though, that I'm aware of.
I have a question whenever you get a minute.
Sure, brother. What do you got? While he's looking at it.
So as we can like observe that there's shells on top of Mount Everest, which is the tallest point in the world.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say when people say because the tectonic plates created that shelf and the mountain range? What would you say against that to the claim that the floods washed it over and that's how the crustaceans got to the top of the mountain?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily make both of those claims are true at the same time, in my opinion. Mount Everest, the Bible says that at the end of the flood in the book of Psalms, it says, as the waters receded, the mountains arose and the valley sank down. So Mount Everest has seashells on it from the flood, but it wasn't because the flood went over Mount Everest and its current position. So Mount Everest wasn't as tall as it was until at the end of the flood, as the mountains arose and the valley sank down. The Bible teaches that the water come from underneath. So you can say, I don't believe it, and that's fine to say I don't believe it, but it's not fine to say the Bible doesn't teach it. Genesis, it says that the dry land was founded upon the waters. So there was obviously a layer of water underneath the earth. There still is, clearly. There's more water underneath the crust of the earth than there's in the ocean, right? So you have water underneath the crust. The water comes, when the fountains of the deep broke open, the water comes on top of the crust, floods the earth. As the water starts to go to the low spots, there's no more supporting structure under it. The continents break, right? As the continents break, the valleys sink down and the mountains rise up. So we can make some predictions off of this flood model to see if it's true. And I would predict that most of your mountain ranges would follow the coastline. And sure enough, if you just pull up a map of mountain ranges all over the world, it's not universal in saying every single one of them. But I think it's like 90%. You can do your own math there and just follow it. They follow the coastlines. All of your mountain ranges, with the exception of a couple, follow the coastlines.
Okay, and with that, with you stating that the mountain ranges flattened down, what would you say with Arizona and stuff like that? Because I would say that you can find crustaceans all along them. You can find that and the other. But would you say that there used to be like large groupings of trees or something, and that could have been a forest that God cut down before the flood?
No.
Or would you say that's another mountain range that was caused by the flood?
In Arizona?
Yeah, with the plateaus and all that stuff.
That's just those aren't mountain ranges; those are flat, right?
Well, I'm just asking because it's a little weird to see that the shape of these. Some of them do look like tree trunks.
Oh, you talking about those? No, I don't think that those used to be trees at all. I mean, some people make that argument. I don't think that's. I think those are rocks just in weird shapes. That because Noah's flood literally destroyed the entire planet. Right? There's nothing that was the same afterwards. It was utterly devastated. The entire world was rearranged. I don't think that those are tree trunks. I think that those are rock structures.
Are you aware of the fossils, the brachiopods and the crinoids that they found on the top of Mount Everest?
No.
Okay. Well, I would like to hear an explanation of how the flood created that situation, but I do have an answer on that other topic.
Sure. I just gave the answer for the flood.
And I'll stick to the one that's right in front of me for the moment, but there is examples of how poaching, for example, in Africa has caused the population of male elephants to have shorter tusks. That would be one example of adaptation based on culling of the herds.
I got you, bro. That's micro.
There's another example here of Atlantic cod.
Okay.
What happened was that the large fish consistently were removed by fishing. The smaller and earlier reproducing fish were favored, and so the average size and age dropped. So that's kind of similar to what I just described with the elephants.
Yeah, brother, that's micro. I get that. You're taking a trait that already existed and encouraging that trait. That's not macro.
So you do believe in what? You believe in evolution to some extent, I guess?
Man, I believe in what did you couldn't find the evidence you were looking for? So now we got to rehab the whole conversation from scratch
You
again?
said evolution is fake, but you're saying this is micro. Micro what? Evolution?
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for coming up, man.
Are you dropping me?
I'm not starting from scratch with you, brother. We've already done this for 20 minutes. You couldn't find the evidence evidently you wanted, so now we're going to start from zero?
I got you to admit in evolution. Now you want to drop me.
Right. I already admitted this 20 minutes ago. I believe in microevolution. I told you I need. All right, man. Have a good one. Get off my stage. You can't. You can't listen. You're incapable of paying attention. I'm not rehashing everything that I already had out with you. For the love of everything holy, watch your clip back, bro. Watch your clip back. We already had this conversation where I already said I believe in micro. I gave you a very specific definition that I needed to see genetic information gain. I said dogs producing dogs is micro. And then at the end of it, you're like, wait a minute, you believe in micro? I got you to admit to it. Come on, man. Get off my stage with that nonsense. Waste of my time. Waste of my time. You couldn't find whatever evidence you were wanting to claim. So then you just wasted my flipping time.
You were saying before about the water underground. Were you trying to say that there's enough water in and on top of Earth to create or cause a global flood?
Yes. 1 second. Sal, what's up, man? You come in here earlier and you rolled out. You good?
What's up? Yeah, just kind of my phone just died, bro. So
I got
that's
you.
why, sir.
Okay, I got you. All right, I'm sorry, Infidel. Rephrase that.
Yeah, so are you saying there's enough water, like underground and above the ground to make a global flood?
There's enough water above the ground to make a global flood. There's no problem. There's enough water in the ocean
to reach Mount Everest at the top of it.
No, that's not the claim. So Mount Everest wasn't there before the flood, obviously. So at the end of Psalms is what I was claiming. In the book of Psalms, it says, as the mountains or as the waters assuaged at the end of the flood, the mountains arose and the valleys sank down. So that's when Mount Everest went to as high as it is today. Those mountain ranges weren't as high as they are now during the flood.
Sure, but do you think there's do you think it was just 29,000 growth, or do you think that it was a half that size, or during those times?
I have no idea. I just know the Bible says that obviously the mountain ranges weren't there. It says that at the end of the flood, the mountains arose and the valley sank down. How much they arose, how much they sank down, I don't know. I just know that clearly the Bible teaches that there was a layer of water underneath the earth when the waters just didn't come from the rain. Most people believe that, they hear the 40 days and 40 night rain story, but the water continued to rise over 150 days and it was on the planet for over 11 months. So it didn't just come from the rain. The majority of the water come when the fountains of the deep broke open, meaning that the water come from underneath the crust of the earth. So if the water goes from underneath then to on top, there's obviously nothing there to support it. So those places where there's no water to support it, and now you got heavy water on top of it, is going to cause it to break. Once it breaks, you're going to have valleys that sink down, and you're going to have mountains arise. Other places is going to cause the continents to shift. They're going to buckle. They're going to create mountain ranges that way. So yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
So I believe in microevolution, and I know people say macro. But couldn't you state that evolution of the micro is more or less a de-evolution as we see in dogs? Because wolves go from wolves, which are a natural, beautiful thing, a phenomenon that can do anything, and then they go to, like you say, chihuahuas, which, not saying chihuahuas aren't useless, they have a purpose, but you couldn't throw them out into the wild and they lose that evolutionary fact. So couldn't you say that microevolution is evolution but de-evolution at the same time?
Yeah, it's degraded information. That's a great point, because you can take a wolf kind of animal and breed it down to a chihuahua, but you cannot take a chihuahua and breed it back to a wolf because the information is degraded and lost.
I think in terms of this wolf and chihuahua example.
Sure.
Okay, so I think it partially could be explained by the fact that when we breeded them to be that, Other thing is, nature is much more or less friendly for certain bad things genetically than home environment. So if we see more friendly, less harsh environment when less people, like less animals die, then we will see natural degradation because like what drives evolution, in my understanding, is harsh environment and certain organisms not surviving.
Yeah, but it's not based off the environment per se, Salas. And the reason why is because it depends on the mechanism that you're selecting the breed for. Like, for example, a pit bull can probably beat the crap out of a wolf, right? It's got a stronger bite force. Their jaws locked because the pit bull was bred to fight. The wolf doesn't do that naturally. It just it does it for hunting and social reasons. But that animal was bred for that aggression, to have those jaws. So it was bred for that. So in the scenario of quote unquote fighting, then the pit bull would be better, but it's still done it through degradation.
So I asked that question to ask, there's a tribe of lions that are in a area where it's mostly water buffalo, and they have designed a trait to where they're much stronger. They have a much more meatier mass, and they're more inhabited to swim, but they're not as fertile and they're not as quick. So would you say that because of their environmental change that they had to evolve in a much quicker way than the rest of us?
Well, it depends on, again, what you mean by evolving. If you mean microevolution, then yeah, that's fine. That's what we do. That you're taking muscle mass and then you're putting on an additional muscle. It was already designed to do that, right? There's no new information there. That's a trait that already exists.
There's no new information. Like, do you think that creating new functions is not a form of new information or duplications?
What do you mean? What new function?
Yeah, functions. So repurposing. So we have a DNA that can be duplicated and then form new functions, such as yeast entire genome duplicated in the past.
Like, I get it, brother. I need like, give me an example. Don't just repeat it.
I just said as an example, yeast.
Like what? What was an example? Duplication is not an example of new function. DNA duplicate, or organisms duplicate things all the time.
An example of duplication. All right.
No. Duplication is not new information. We know that our genome does this. It duplicates things all the time. I need an example of new information. It doing what it usually does is not new information.
No, I'm saying it. The duplication and then those things specifically perform different functions.
Like what?
Is that?
Give me an example.
Yeah, so Hox gene duplications allow evolution of complex body plans in animals.
You're inferring that long ago and far away, this is what happened. I needed something that I can test and observe, not infer.
But all scientific hypothesis is a type of induction.
Now, you can do this I like to use bacteria because it takes the millions of years away. So why is it that in bacteria in the same generation count, we have degradation, but long ago and far away, there was information gain?
So you're saying that bacteria now is just losing information?
In the longest running evolutionary experiments that we're doing on it, yeah, they're degrading.
Okay, can I read about that? What do I
Sure.
type in bacteria degradation?
Go to it's called the Linsky experiment. Now, here's what they're going to tell you, Infidel. They're going to claim that it's evolution. They claim everything's evolution because they have a religious viewpoint, but that's not information gain. All of the things that it's doing in this quote unquote experiment it's doing it through degradation. I'll give you a real quick example. You know how bacteria is becoming resistant to antibiotics?
Yeah.
It's doing it through degradation. So think of it like the antibiotics have arms, or the bacteria have arms, and the antibiotics are handcuffs. The antibiotic comes in, they handcuff them, take them to jail, and unalive them. But every now and again in the population, there is a bacteria that's born inferior, doesn't have any arms. Well, the antibiotics can attach to it, so it gets to live, and it gets to have children. And their children with arms get unalive, but their children without any arms get to stay alive. Now, that's not evolution because it did it through degradation. And if you put them back, and you could say, well, it's beneficial in this one specific scenario. yes, in this one specific scenario, it's beneficial that they don't have any arms, but it can't evolve that it's devolving. It's literally losing information. I need to see information gain for evolution to be true, not degradation.
Wait, so would you say that the arms always existed, or like let's say a starting thing with 10 arms, and then every generation, after fighting something that could unalive it, it goes to 8, then 6. Are you saying it started at some whole point and just keeps degrading?
Yeah, my same way. It had arms and now it's losing arms, so the antibiotics can't attach to it. So that's degrading information, right?
Are you saying the bacteria with arms has always had with arms?
Yeah, we've never seen them without any arms.
It hasn't always had arms.
Well, he literally just told you to look up a study and then told you what the study says and to ignore parts of the study.
Yeah, because I have a standard, right? If your standard is everything equals evolution, then that standard will never be disproved, right?
Sorry, what was the study? Yeah, but you're talking about a study.
I don't mind giving you the study, but first I want to make sure you can follow what I just said.
What's the standard of the study? I don't care about your personal standard.
That's the standard. That's the study, legitimately, in evolution. That's all you got to do is just have this conversation with anybody. If you're claiming that degradation is evolution, then that's clearly your stance. And if you're intellectually honest, it can't be.
Who claims that?
We can't be. Who do you mean who claims that?
Degradation?
Losing information.
The way I understand evolution is it's adaptation, useful adaptation for the environment. So even if it's degradation, it's still technically evolution in my.
But it can't be, Sal. Listen, if we went from a single-celled organism to a fully functional human, I think unanimously everybody would agree that there was genetic information gained there. Genetic, as far as they had to pass it on.
Not all life became humans, did they?
If you're incapable of following a scenario, just get off my stage now, because I don't have time for that.
Can I read this part then?
Sure. Go ahead.
In the experiment, E. coli evolved the ability to metabolize citrate in oxygen, something that ancestral strain categorically could not do.
Yep.
How is that degradation?
Great question. So let me ask some clarifying questions to see, because I know you just looked us up. Do you know that it already had the ability to eat citrate before? It just did it in an anaerobic stage. It did it in unoxygen.
What's an anaerobic state?
Let me kick this guy, because I'm having a great conversation with you, and he's coming up here just asking outrageously stupid questions while I'm answering them. So do you know that this already had the ability to eat oxygen in a anaerobic, not aerobic, means that it didn't have any oxygen present. So it already had the ability to eat citrate before. Are you aware of that?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, so it
So
already.
I'm reading everything you're telling me.
I got you. So what this is in the Linsky experiment, they put bacteria inside of a flask and then they feed it. So this bacteria that they're using, it's a E. coli bacteria that they're using, has the ability to eat glucose and oxygen and eat citrate in unoxygen, meaning when there's no oxygen present. There's a transfer protein, a mechanism like a genetic switch that changes the transfer proteins in the presence of oxygen, because they don't have lungs like we have lungs. And then the transfer protein changes when there's no oxygen, and it allows in citrate. So the normal wildy bacteria that they use, the E. coli bacteria, it has the flagellum, a little tail that spins around so that it can swim to go get its food. It has the ability to eat glucose and citrate in an oxygen and unoxygenated environment. When oxygen is present, it eats glucose. When no oxygen is present, it eats citrate. So this is the normal bacteria that they have. The Linsky experiment put them in flasks and started hand feeding them. So their flagellum is degrading. The function of the flagellum is starting to go away. It went from eating glucose in an oxygenated environment to eating citrate in an oxygenated and an unoxygenated environment. So which one's evolving? The normal one, wild one, or the one that now has less ability? So it is true that they started to eat citrate in an oxygenated environment, but it did it because the genetic switch that they have that switches from oxygen to transfer proteins, quote unquote, devolved. So they are inferior. And the reason why we know that they're inferior is because they have to wait till all of the glucose is eaten up out of the flask that they're in. and they're only left to eat citrate. So yes, they survive and they do eat citrate in an oxygenated environment, but it did not do it through a gain of information. It degraded information in an effort to do that. They are inferior to the wild E. coli bacteria that they started off with.
Thanks for having me. I'm gonna drop off.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you.
So I'll read more into that because there's obviously a lot of things I would need to know there. So maybe we could work off. Maybe you could answer this question then. So, the ability to digest lactose, for humans.
Yeah, great question.
Are you saying that we used to be able to digest it, and then we remove something and able to digest it?
Yeah, so I looked this up the other day because somebody brought it up, and I wasn't as familiar with it. So we were absolutely the what is it called? I can't think of the name of it. The chemical makeup is identical almost to something else that we already digest before. And so it's using the same system to digest that because the chemical makeup's the same is basically what I'm trying to say.
What's the chemical?
Man, it has, I heard about it the other day and I looked it up, but it's, I can't remember right off the top of my head. I have to look it up myself.
Well, yeah, then we'd have to abstain from that because we don't know. If I know the chemical makeup, then we can tell if it's using the identical system to make the same function.
Yeah, it's like this. What's the one where they tested the bacteria and started finding out that it started digesting a plastic material?
Yeah.
It's the same process. The plastic, I forget the name of it too, that they're digesting. The plastic that they're digesting is very chemically similar to the amino acids that they already have that allows them to digest these other foods. So again, it's not doing it through information gain. It's just that this process that they have allows them to digest this plastic also.
So it says the enzyme lactase breaks down lactose into two smaller sugars. Lining the small intestine, it splits lactose into glucose and galactose. These two smaller sugars can be absorbed into the bloodstream. This step is essential. Without lactase, lactose stays, in fact, a cause of symptoms, negative symptoms. They're absorbed in the bloodstream, glucose, whatever. So are you looking for the name of this entire process?
Yeah, sure. You can give it to me.
Let me find that.
It has been a while since I looked into that.
Lactase is like highly specific, right?
Will it be able to later ask a question that's like a little bit off the topic, but I'm just kind of curious, like a Bible related though.
Sure.
Okay, so tell me when I will be able to not interrupt discussion about
Okay, let me finish up with him. He's going to give me the name of this study, and then I'll come to you. Okay, brother.
Okay, thank you.
So all it's coming up with is lactose digestion via lactase enzyme. If you want more specific, it would be lactose hydrolysis, and then for the adults to keep producing it, it'd be lactase persistence.
Right. What was your claim again? That we didn't have this before, or that this evolved, or?
So we didn't have this before in order to consume lactose.
What population didn't have it, and where do I go to see that they didn't have it and they gained it?
Okay, 1 second. If my computer would work.
I got you.
Oh, it did. 1 sec.
I mean, specifically, it's the lactase persistence, right? Because all babies have lactase.
So, right. So I'll read it out. It is going to be worldwide distributions of lactase persistence. Then a word I can't pronounce, alleles. And complex effects of recombination and selection by Springer Nature Link. and it just provides the abstract methodology, etc.
They didn't tell me. Yeah, just if you find it, you can give me a follow, man, and then send it. Just text it to me in the TikTok chats there. Just send it to me because that doesn't tell me where I can find this group of people that didn't have it before and now they have it. So.
Oh, I was reading out the study name and where it came from, and then I'll get the population soon. There was also another thing I wanted to address with your first claim about the water. So even as I was reading before more about the global flood, is that even if Mount Everest or the mountains were 1 kilometer right in height, there wouldn't be enough water in the world in order to make the coverage.
That's not true because the valley, it literally says the mountains arose and the valley sank down. So you're only dropping the mountain, but you're forgetting to raise the valley. So.
Wait, so the Bible says that, but is there any evidence for that?
Yeah, absolutely. I showed you what we can make some predictions about the mountain ranges following the coastline. That's exactly what we see. And for anyone.
I wasn't down for that discussion.
Right. Okay. Well, the waters underneath the crust of the earth, waters underneath the crust of the earth, the fountains of the deep break open, the water comes on top of the crust of the earth. There's nothing under to support it anymore. So as the waters go to the low spots, the crust breaks. This has caused the valleys to sink and the mountains to arise. It would also cause the continents to shift and everything else and bump into each other and create mountain ranges elsewhere. So when this happened, mountains arose, valleys sank down, you would have mountain ranges. Those mountain ranges would follow the coastline. And sure enough, it's probably better than 90% of the mountain ranges across the planet. Just Google a map of the mountain ranges and you'll see that they follow the coastline. So there you go. All right. Saul, what's up, man?
So what if I tell you I think I saw certain signs of reincarnation in the Bible and I kind of wanted to bullshit this with you?
You saw reincarnations in the Bible?
Yeah.
It's not really my subject, but go ahead and I'll try to address it really quickly.
Okay, so Bible says you reap what you sow. So let's say I do some atrocious crimes and abruptly get super duper sick. And then accept Christ within the 24 hours and die. I technically will go to heaven. How am I reaping what I'm sowing if there's no incarnation under that circumstances?
Mm-hmm. Well, that wouldn't prove reincarnation though, brother.
Yeah, but how am I reaping what I'm sowing?
That would be a different question than the question you're asking though. That wouldn't be in reincarnation. Right.
But how else am I going to reap what I saw? Is there any other possible?
That would be like we're kind of looking at it wrong. That would be a God question that you would have to ask him. And secondly, we reap what we sow, but you don't look at it as an overarching, everybody gets everything they always deserve. That's clearly not true. Right. Because I didn't do anything to earn my salvation. And I'm still, if I reap what I sowed, in the sense of my life, my afterlife, then I wouldn't go to heaven at all. I don't deserve it, right? So I'm accepting Jesus' sacrifice, and that's why I'm not going to quote unquote reap what I sow in that sense.
Oh, fair enough, understandable. I was talking about Hindu about this, and I will actually tell this argument to him and see what he's gonna say, because I'm kind of just going back and forth between Christianity and Hinduism right now, so I'm kind of in this weird spot right now.
Yeah, man, but you gotta. Here's my thing, Sal. I'm always here for you. Keep sending me messages. Keep sending me the text, man. I'll answer anything you want. But man, you're gonna have to make it. You're gonna have to stop being this lukewarm stuff, man.
I'm not really a lukewarm. For example, I recently stopped a lot of substances and alcohol, and I even lost friends over that. I'm truly finding the truth, but I'm just currently not sure what's true and what's not. I'm in this very interesting spot right now. If it makes sense, sir.
Fair enough, man. You got any questions? Give me a shout, and I'll do my best to answer them. Okay.
Thank you very much. I gotta go already. It was very nice talking to you about this, sir. Have a nice day.
Man, you too. Lightness, I think you were in here next, and then LT. So.
Yeah.
What's up, man?
I just wanted to question evolution is false. Why do you believe it's false?
I believe in micro. I don't see any evidence for macro.
But then wouldn't micro still be a type of evolution?
Yeah, if you want to get an exact word fallacy to say, well, you believe in micro, so you absolutely believe in evolution. Ha ha ha. Okay. I believe in microevolution.
I wasn't even trying to do that. I was simply asking.
No, yeah.
Micro's a type of evolution.
I mean, you could say it's change over time. It's not going to get you to a different kind of animal. You know, a rabbit changing over time will always be a rabbit. It'll never not be a rabbit. It'll never be anything other than a rabbit.
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to ask Cap or whatever, the person at the bottom, like, what is the difference between adaptation and evolution?
Well, one's testable and observable, and if you're talking about evolution as far as macro, that's inferred. Adaptation is testable and observable.
Would you say that like microevolution is adaptation?
Yeah, absolutely.
Microevolution doesn't exist. Only adaptation does. Adaptation is a simple fact that people and things can adapt to their environment. That's not evolution. That's like saying because I developed an immunity against COVID that I've evolved. I haven't become anything new.
Okay, well, I just came up to ask that. Really, I just wanted to ask some questions. Really.
All right, brother. I appreciate you.
Adaptation is not evolution.
Yeah, it's not. It's already within the genetic code for us to do these things. So there's no new information there.
Yes. It's in our genetic code to be able to adapt our immunology to pathogens that come our way. That's already in our genetic code. There's no new information brought to us because COVID came in my body. No, no new information is there.
Yeah.
The existing information tells the body to do this to fight back against the pathogen.
Say it again, Light.
Why are you kind of like pleading that evolution needs to have an increase in like genetic information?
Because that's the claim, brother.
By definition, that's what evolution is.
Yeah, that's the claim. It's not my claim.
How would
it's
you define evolution?
Genetic information gain. If you're talking about macro, you'd have to have genetic information gain. And all I'm doing is holding people to that standard and say, okay, show it to me. Don't infer it. Show it to me.
I'm just like, where is this increase? Because like the way how I would define evolution would just be a change.
Nah, you can't.
By definition, evolution says that
I got it.
that new
I got it,
DNA
guys.
has come into play to change one creature into another creature.
I got it. So
And that requires an adding of information which never happened.
guys, I got it. So the
mutations can be deletion, substitution.
It
doesn't have to be an insertion.
Brother, listen to me. You would agree that if we went from a single-celled organism to a fully functional human, there was genetic information gained there, right? Not just a bunch of duplication of existing genes. It's a single-celled organism. No. You would agree that there was genetic information gained there, right?
No.
You said no?
Yeah, I said yeah. It would.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. I'm about to say, man, you're the first person ever. All right. So yeah, it would be genetic information gain. Okay. So then that's an increase, right? That's an increase. I need to see that. So, I needed to get an example of that.
Right. It could also be a decrease.
And that can't be a decrease, brother. It can't be. That's not.
It can be technically.
No, technically it can't be.
Look at what I mean.
This is why. Guys for the guys in the comments that regularly watch me do this. I don't want to say my show, but they regularly listen to me. Y'all know this is what I deal with all the time. Evolutionists will fight you tooth and nail to keep degradation. It cannot possibly, intellectually honest, it cannot possibly be evidence for evolution, brother. You're losing information. You cannot keep losing information and then claiming that that's evolution.
When I look at what's driving evolution is mutation. It's not simply insertions. So it doesn't need to be an increase. I don't know what definition says it's simply an increase.
We just agreed.
It's a change.
You just agreed with me. Stop. I've done this for, let me see. I've done this for 3 hours, so my patience is running a little bit thin, so I apologize. If you'd have come in earlier, I wouldn't have been as iffy, but I've already done this for 3 hours. I've had the same conversation over and over again. It cannot possibly be degradation or existing information. It has to be new. We already conceded that. We already agreed that we went from a single-celled organism to a fully functional human. It has to be information gain. You already conceded that. And within 2 seconds, you're saying it don't have to be. Yes, it does. It has to be. It absolutely has to be.
Right. So us come like the prokaryotes evolving into eukaryotes and multicellular organisms is an example of evolution, right?
You're stating that
example of a change. It doesn't. By definition, evolution doesn't need to be an increase.
Okay, brother.
You're saying that evolution is from a prokaryote to eukaryote.
All right, have a good one. I'm not doing it. I've already done it for 3 hours, guys. I'm sorry, my patience is running a little bit thin. I'm not doing that where we're having that circle conversation again where, yes, we agree that there has to be information gain. And then 2 seconds later, we say, no, it doesn't have to be information gain. Yes, there has to be information gain. And then 2 seconds later, no, I don't have to be information gain. And then 2 seconds later, we say, yes, it can be information gain. And then 3 seconds later, I'm not doing that. I'm done with that today. I'm not doing that anymore. LT, what's up, my man?
What's up, man? I got a little story to tell you real quick.
Let me hear it.
You might like this story. I'll be quick.
Go ahead.
And hold it down with the patience. You're all right, man. You're all right. People just, they don't want to believe. They just want to make you feel like they believe, and then they just want to go off in their own tangent. That's okay.
Yeah.
All right, so, I'm pushing about mid-40s right now. And, I'm getting old, brother. I'm getting old. But went down to my mom's last weekend, pulled the old tub out, had some old stuff. And wouldn't you know it, I have it sitting on my daughter's vanity right now, my youngest. When I was 5 years old, my mom still had a bunch of stuff from kindergarten. But apparently I had a pet rock that I painted in school and wrote my name on it and painted a bunch of colors. It's a cool little rock, man. But I want to ask you, it's been 40 years, brother. 40 years. That rock hasn't changed. And in fact, even the marker of my name on that rock is still in perfect condition. How many billions of years would it take for that rock to form a brain and eyes and get up and walk and talk, in your opinion?
Well, I would say never, but the evolutionists would say 14, I think, billion or 5 billion. 5 billion.
5 million or 5 billion?
5 billion. They're going with that.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, 5 billion is what they would say.
So, is it possible in the evolutionist realm to test how old my rock is? Because I kind of want to see how old that old booger is now,
Yeah.
I want to know what stage of development it should be in right now. Like, shouldn't it have eyes by now? I mean, let's just say that rock's 10 billion or 10 million years old. Where is it at? I mean, if I cut it open, is there going to be something inside it? Like, is there going to be a digestive system in there? Or, like, where are we at?
Yeah. So the reason why he's doing this, for those of you in the comments who might not know, is that this is one of the things I constantly bring up. If you're a hardcore evolutionist and you believe in the theory of evolution without a God, then you believe you come from a rock. So you absolutely believe you come from a rock. You believe that it was a hot molten ball and that it rained on the rocks for millions of years. The acidic rain dissolved the rocks, lightning struck it and created amino acids into the single cell organism. So if you believe in evolution without a God, you absolutely believe that you come from a rock. Magic mud, yeah.
I mean, I'm just curious, man. I'm trying to learn. I've heard some of the people. I've listened to some. I've seen some of the comments. And I'm trying to learn why my pet rock, when I was 5 years old in kindergarten, has not changed and doesn't seem to be changing. Even the paint ain't even peeling off that booger. I mean, it was preserved, darn near petrified. I mean, that thing is in great condition. But I guess the other question I'll ask, and I'm probably going to drop down. I got to get out of here. I just wanted to listen for a bit.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to call it myself.
Like, when we go camping at the Frio River, we go to different places. I mean, we got mountains. We got rocks all over the planet. Why ain't they walking and talking?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why do we have rocks still to this day? If that's where we evolved from.
Yep.
Wow, that was such a good train of thought. Totally not stupid.
I'm glad you're following, man, because these are questions I just can't ever get answers to. They never have the answers. They just say, they whirl a little magic wand and say, primordial suit lightning, kapazah! And then a rock started evolving. I mean, it's wazoo-bazing. I don't know what words were spoken, You know, because like language didn't exist either. I don't know. I mean, space, time, and matter casually existed before existence. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. I appreciate you, brother. I'll hit you back.
Yeah, man. Be good. Captain Snake, what's up, man? Captain Snake. Oh, he must have walked off.
How you doing, brother?
There you go. Doing good, man. Hope you are.
I'm well. I'm well. Okay, so let's, if you don't mind, I would like to bring up some real science.
Okay.
Okay, let's look at the geological record of the Earth. Okay, we have layers within the geological record known as the Cambrian and the Precambrian era. Are you familiar with that?
Yep.
Okay, so the Precambrian era, we see in the Earth geological record that there is nothing but single-celled organisms living on Earth, viruses and bacteria. Am I correct?
I'll take your word for it. I'm not like super studied in it.
Yes, that is the fact.
They call it
the
the
Precambrian era. We have geological record that showed nothing but the single-celled organisms living on the Earth.
Okay, I'm with you.
Within the geological records, we have what's known as the Cambrian explosion era.
Yep.
The Cambrian explosion era is where we see a sudden, almost overnight explosion of life forms on the planet.
Yep.
And what we find in the geological record is that these life forms are fully developed with eyes, ears, brains, everything, right? And everything that existed during that Cambrian explosion that still exists today are still exactly the same now as they were then.
Yeah.
Can I jump There's no evidence whatsoever. There is no evidence whatsoever that evolution took place. It was just an explosion of complex life.
Yeah. Go ahead, brother.
You can look this up. It's a fact. It's called the Cambrian versus Precambrian era.
I know what you're talking about.
Can I say something real quick?
You know, we also.
If it's adding to his topic, yeah.
Yeah, of course. You're very close to correct on that. For most of the Precambrian time, there was only single-celled life. Later in the Precambrian, we started getting soft-bodied creatures. You know, I'm trying to think of the one that's most well known. But
no, that began the Cambrian explosion. You're actually off on that. You need to go back and do a little more study. That was the beginning of the Cambrian explosion. The Cambrian explosion didn't happen instantly, but it happened over a very short period of time. And it started with the soft-bodied forms of life, but they came into being fully formed with eyes, ears, brains, everything that's needed for complex life to exist.
I don't want to be disrespectful, but I just wanted to I looked it up to make sure I was right because I didn't want to say something I thought could be wrong.
Okay, now, aside from the geological record of the Cambrian versus Precambrian era, we also have the fact that evolution, by definition, and in all statements and all study of evolutionists say that evolution is an ever-present, ever-ongoing process. Am I right or wrong?
That's what they say.
To an extent, yes.
No, not to an extent. That is by definition, brother.
Well, so evolution.
Be intellectually honest or don't speak.
No, I'm not being disrespectful. I'm saying there's a little bit of a flaw to that. Like right now,
you're not being intellectually honest. What I said.
I'm not coming at you from a disrespectful. Hey, I'm just questioning it, and from what I'm looking up and from what I'm reading right now, it's saying that you're wrong. I'm not trying to be disrespectful by any means. I'm just reading what I'm saying.
Is your source Google? Is your source Google? It probably is. My source is 30 years of education. Yeah, Google. My source is 30 years of education and life experience.
Let's
would you please stop and let me finish my
in that
point?
30 years in your education and your life experience, you could have messed something up. Be a little humble, man.
All right, let him finish, and then we'll respond to it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, evolution is supposed to be an ever-present, ever-ongoing process that never ends, never stops. by definition. So if this is the case, why is it we can't look out our kitchen window and see intermediary species? We do not. Intermediary species, by definition, is the species that is one that exists between the existence of one forming into another. We do not see the intermediary species either in life today or in a fossil record anywhere. So if there is no evidence of intermediary species, what makes anybody think that the theory, okay, get this right, evolution is a theory, it's never been fact, it's always been theory. What makes us think that that theory is correct when there is absolutely no evidence of intermediary species anywhere?
Okay. Go ahead. I don't know how to say your name. MAI.
I'm going to land my plane right there for now.
Yeah, but I appreciate you. You're muted up, MAI. There you go.
Oh, sorry, I was kind of just speaking on that. What I did want to say is I found Christ about a year back, and I've always been very scientific. I've always looked into things from a science-based perspective. So it was really hard for me to just jump into Christianity and follow Christ. But one thing I always tried to think is, I do believe science to be true, because if you look through time, all of these major scientists, they've tried to disprove God and, even find God through science. And a lot of the scientists that did do that do say, when you truly look at science, you will see that there has to be a God. There is too much smart creation in this world for there not to be.
So you say you are a Christian?
Yes, I am.
You believe in evolution?
I do, to be honest. I think
if
you look at it, I'm
who
going
got
to
it
from like a Bible perspective.
I got it. Hold on one second. Let me just ask you some clarifying question, because
yeah,
the two are diametrically opposed to each other. So what's your thought processes on when God said he did it this way? You just think he got it wrong, or?
So he said he did it in 7 days, but I think 7 days could be 7 trillion years to God. There's a verse I can't quite remember.
Sure. Do you know that? So the word yom there, and I'm not trying to destroy your faith. I'm trying to strengthen your faith. Right? And
no, you're fine. You're fine. This is what I was doing.
The word yom that's used in Genesis could mean long periods of time, but it's the only place in the entirety of the Bible that I'm aware of. I reserve the right to be wrong, but it's the only place that I'm aware of where it preferences the time twice in every single sentence. In every single verse that mentions the day, it preferences the time. Every single one of them, with the exception of the seventh day. The first day, it says the evening and the morning were the first day. Now, we know that this is a preference in time and not a specific event, because God hadn't even created the sun and the moon yet for times and seasons. So when it says the evening and the morning were the first day, that's literally just saying this was a singular day. It's a 1 day period. You can't have many singulars, morning and days, in many days, right? If it's trillions of years, then you can't have a singular morning and evening. It's the same. And plus it would be diametrically opposed to each other, because God makes the plants. First of all, evolution says that evolution says that the sun was made, and then the planet was made of the leftover remnants of the star, right? But the Bible says that the planet was made before the sun. The Bible says that the plants were made on day 3, the sun was made on day 4. So if that's a long period of time, then how did all those plants survive without any sun? And then evolution teaches that millions of things had to unalive before Adam come into existence. But God says that nothing unalived until Adam sinned. So these two things are not just, you can't just read it and maybe come to different conclusions. One of them has to be true and one of them has to be false, because they are diametrically opposed to each other.
Well, I guess I'm just going to ask questions, because I'm always, seeking truth. That was one thing, like death always confused me, because if you look at it from a scientific perspective, there were, my goodness, I'm just blanking today. The humans that were before us, very rough term. They killed each other. They slaughtered each other. They had clans. They had outposts. They took caves of shelter. They took women as captives from war, as kind of spoils of war. They did all these evil things before Adam.
You have any proof? Do you have any evidence of that? That's my problem. Where's the evidence?
No, but that evidence is solely coming from our current day science. It's not coming from the Bible or anything like that. It's coming from current day science, which I've always wondered, is our current day science all a lie, or is some of it truth, some of it lie? Like, because I do believe some of it to be true.
Sure, there's
but
really
I do believe a lot of it to be false. If that makes sense.
Really smart people doing really great work that are confused about, like, you can look at the evidence. Like, for example, the fossil record that they look at. When they look at the fossil record, they take that these layers are millions and millions of years apart, and therefore just like my man earlier talked about the Cambrian explosion. Why do we find this order? Why do we find the shellfish, then the fish, and then amphibians, reptiles, mammals? If this is not, that's how they think that they evolved. Well, that's where they live at in the column anyway. Shellfish are at the bottom because that's where they live, right? And then you'd find birds at the top because that's where they live. So the evidence from the geologic column is evidence of Noah's flood. And there was an individual by the name of Charles Lyell in the 1700s that he's also known as the father of modern day geology. And when he come up with the geologic column, he's one of the ones that helped the theory of uniformitarianism, means that way that things are happening now are the way that it's always happened. Well, Charles Lyell he greatly influenced Charles Darwin, and Charles Darwin got a lot of his long periods of time from Charles Lyell. And Lyell he wrote a book and he wanted to free the geology from Moses. Because when most people look at the geologic column, they go, wow, that's Noah's flood. Before Charles Lyell, they said, look at that's hydrologic sorting. We see this in a flood. And all of those things that are unalived in that geologic column are a result from Noah's flood. They unalived in the flood, and that's why they're in the column, because they clearly unalived there, right? This is why we see dinosaur bone beds of all in the same layer in one area, because we know that floods will sort things out. The Hells Creek Formation goes from the top of Texas all the way up into Canada almost, right? So
now that you mentioned dinosaurs, sorry, it's just kind of funny because I have my son with me right now and we're watching dinosaurs. So what's your thought on that? Do you think God created dinosaurs before us? Like,
they were made.
Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, they were made on day 6 with us. And whatever movie, now this is the part where it does get a little bit conspiratorial. Anytime you pick up a movie or a book, turn to the first page or listen to the first couple of paragraphs. What does the movie or book always say about dinosaurs? First words are always almost universally.
I have no clue.
It'll always say,
hit it with me.
Sure. As soon as you open up the page or go back to the beginning of the movie, it'll say millions and millions of years ago.
Yeah.
If that was a fact, why do they have to keep reinforcing it every time you pick up something, a child's book? Why do you got to tell a toddler this? Because it's not true, so you need to pound it into their head that they lived millions and millions of years ago. Dinosaurs are in the Bible, brother. Are you aware of Job 40?
Verse.
Yeah, that's
Trees of iron.
Yeah, and it's talked about its tail being as large as a cedar tree. That's clearly a sauropod dinosaur,
clearly
right?
a brontosaurus, and that's what's always interested me. It's like, because a lot of the facts we have now can coexist with the Bible and the science we have, but a lot of it doesn't. So it's very hard to not necessarily nitpick, but find which is true and false, if that makes sense.
Well, sure. If the dinosaur bones are 65 million years old, then we shouldn't find any soft tissue in them, right? But we do.
Yeah.
And now scientists are changing their theory in an effort to try to fit this. They're trying to, and I had this discussion earlier, they're trying to say that iron in the blood preserves the soft tissue for 65 million years. And that is...
I don't know about, I'm not a scientist, but that sounds like bullshit to me.
It is. That we can test the decay rates of items. And the reason why most people don't know about this is because they've given a hypothesis about how iron in the blood does it, but they can't test or observe it, so they're still working on it, and that's why it's not as well known as it should be, that you're finding soft tissue in dinosaur bones.
Well, I have a lot of questions now, so I'm going to leave y'all be and go look them up.
Yeah, man. Look at both sides of it, man, because if you're a Christian, there's no reason to not believe in the Bible. Dude, give me a follow, listen to my page, man. If you got any questions, send it to me, okay?
I was about to say I'll be back in here after I look over it a little bit, because now you guys got me on a little rabbit hunt. So,
all right, brother. I appreciate
God bless you all. You guys have a great afternoon.
Man, you too. Mark, what's up, man?
Morning.
Morning.
How are you doing?
Doing great, brother. How are you?
Oh, right now, mourning the loss of my brother.
I'm sorry to hear
Passed
that. Man.
away.
How old was your brother?
He was younger than me. I'm 63, so I think he was about 3 years younger than me. But he had diabetes.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Him and his brothers hired my wife at first to take care of his mother, his elderly mother, who Mike, my brother, he had moved down from Alaska to take care of his mom. And so him and his brothers hired my wife, who was a CNA, to take care of Ruth. So for about 2 years, almost 2 years, we took care of Ruth. And my wife and I were actually the last people to see her alive that she knew, because she got to the point to where she had to be put into a medical facility because we didn't have the ability to take care of her needs at the house.